I'm here. You got me?
He said he's got you. He's on. Got him.
Oh, we need some perfect strangers this morning. USC women's basketball so close last night at UConn. Basically, nothing is working in the studio, I'm told, for Jen this morning. Internet, maybe not so fun.
Oh, happy Tuesday morning. We move on from football season. So we went into it with UConn, South Carolina, number 1 versus number 2 last night. And we'll get into that a little bit this morning. That was not a good basketball game. That was a rough basketball game. Paige Becker's the freshman guard for UConn there, hitting the wild shot in overtime. We'll talk a little bit about that this morning. We'll get Tim Hill up and running. Technology 1, Tim Hill 0 on a Tuesday morning. We'll bring him along. Alarm clock, it appears, 1. Patrick Perrette 0 on a Tuesday morning. Jen and I are here, though. We're here to get you going February 9th. Hope you're doing well out there this morning. You can check us out on the live stream, whether it's the YouTube channel, 107.5 The Game. It's on Facebook. You can Facebook with us, 107.5 The Game Facebook page. I think Tim has put it up on Twitter. KT, Kevin Taylor weighing in this morning. Morning, guys. Yes, we are up, cheery, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to go to bring you some sports talk. You want to join in this morning? All kinds of ways to interact with the show. We are just opening the doors. All kinds of ways to interact. You can join us on the phone lines, 803-404-6100. You can hit us up on the text line, same exact number, 803-404-6100 is how you can do that as well. Again, Twitter, YouTube, the whole live streaming thing. We are fully functional for you to join in, weigh in this morning with if you've got any leftover Super Bowl opinions, if you've got any opinions from last night's game. We got plenty of opinions already rolling in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line here. Chris weighs in 5:55 this morning. He is first on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. He says, just a big Gamecock fan here, waiting on baseball season. Richard weighing in this morning, as well as Panda. We'll get to all of them here, as well as your thoughts and opinions. Again, last night we moved on from football season. We did it with a little bit of women's college basketball, number 1 versus number 2 up in Storrs, Connecticut. And it is the Connecticut women defeating the University of South Carolina in overtime. We'll get Tim's opinion on that. I was able to catch about the third and fourth quarter there as I was coming back from soccer practice. So Tim, I think, was probably able to watch the whole thing. So a lot to get into this morning. We'll talk a little bit more football. The hangover from the Super Bowl slowly starts to fade. South Carolina will make official the hiring of Montario Hardesty later today with a Zoom press conference at 3:30. Also, they hire 5 new off-the-field analysts in football, so we will get into that as well. So plenty for us to discuss this morning. Chris weighing in on the live stream as well. Morning, guys, from him again. So it's break it down a little bit. Last night, South Carolina and Connecticut, the 1 versus 2 women's basketball game. This has become the game that everybody kind of looks to in women's college basketball. This is the big one. And last night, Connecticut moves to 9-1 against the Gamecocks. 63-59 was the final score. Again, South Carolina had opportunities galore there. About 3 shots, I believe it was, in the final seconds of regulation, right around the rim, and none of them going down. And then when Paige Beckers needed to hit a shot, was it Buckers or Beckers, I think, but needed to hit a shot there, a fadeaway kind of leaning three-pointer in the closing seconds of overtime. She hits the back of the rim. It goes straight up in the air and falls through the net as the UConn women would go up 63-59. And that is how that game would wrap up last night. South Carolina falls to Connecticut. They will drop out of the number 1 spot now. But as most people on Twitter seem to think last night, that was the first of 2 matchups between the Gamecocks and the Huskies this season. So we'll see if they meet later on when we get to the NCAA tournament. Just some stats from last night, if you're interested. South Carolina shooting not very good, especially from three-point range. 1 of 9 from three-point range, and that one was a half-court buzzer beater right before the half. Just 8 of 15 from the free throw line. We've talked a lot about the men and their free throw struggles this season, but the women last night not able to hit from the free throw line as well. And then 25 of 68 from the field last night. It was a rough night shooting. Really, it was a rough night shooting for both teams offensively. Not exactly the 1 versus 2 kind of performance that you would want. Connecticut wasn't any better. 2 of 15 from three-point range. 3 of 8 from the foul line, and they shoot just a hair better than the Gamecocks from the field. 29 of 73 they were from the field. So again, offensively, not a gem of a game. Again, the young lady for Connecticut plays all 45 minutes last night. Paige Beckers, I believe, is it Buckers or Beckers? We'll get a clarification on that here shortly. 14 of 26 from the field she was, 1 of 6 from three-point range. But that one was a massive one, and she finishes with 31 points last night. So the Gamecocks fall to Connecticut 63-59 in a game that a lot of people had been looking forward to. A couple other thoughts here on the Pool Care Heating and Air text line. Steve-O weighs in. Heck of a game. Number 5 for Connecticut is the truth, no shame in that loss. Panda weighs in this morning. Yeah, he's just not happy as well. We'll skip that text and we'll move on. And again, Richard weighing in. Ton of moments throughout the game where they froze her out when she was calling for the ball. I don't know if he's got me another text. I'm sorry, Richard. You sent in a text at 5:53, and then it got sent over. Richard weighing in earlier, he said, one of the most selfish games I've probably seen by Gamecock women at certain moments. If they had played through Aaliyah Boston the entire game, they easily win that game, but too much one-on-one basketball by backcourt. She was there when they needed her, but they need to understand she is the key to winning, not Zaya Cook. So, again, we'll get into those thoughts throughout the morning. I already see hitting up the stream as well. Travis weighing in on the stream. You can, again, follow us and check me out. It is just me. What better thing for you to wake up to at 6:12 a.m. than to hopping on a Facebook stream or a YouTube stream and seeing my lovely face at 6:12. I am awake and up, but probably not the first thing you want to see as you're getting out of bed before having coffee. Travis weighs in. Guard play was horrendous. A lot of standing around watching guards dribble into double teams. Craig weighing in. Way too many misses at the rim. Craig, I totally agree with you. It was not the evening last night for shooting around the basket. Jonathan weighs in. I sent out a tweet earlier, but looking for the 3. Oh, okay. He's looking for a golf matchup. So doing this totally on the fly this morning as we roll along. We'll get Tim Hill in. We'll get his take from last night. Talk a little football as well. Again, some follow-up from the Super Bowl on Sunday night, and we'll get you ready. The Gamecocks and the Crimson Tide will meet tonight here at Colonial Life Arena as well. So we got plenty to get to this morning. Again, if you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100. You can call in or you can text in. That's totally your option. And as always, you can join us on the live stream. Please sign up. I don't know where Patrick Peret's at this morning, but make him happy. He really is pushing the YouTube subscribers. You can go to 1075 The Game, our YouTube channel, and check that out as well. 803-404-6100. We'll get everybody in. We'll get going. Tuesday mornings defeating us early on, but we bounce back strong as we always do. You're listening to the early game on 1075 The Game. Oh, boy. Yeah, I was going to say. All right, good morning, everybody. As you can see, this is exactly how I love to do radio. We are Tim was able to get on just long enough to get the live stream going, and then he is run into some technical difficulties, and I don't know where Patrick's at. So we are off and rolling on a Tuesday morning. Oh, he's back in the live.
Yep, just trying to work it out with Jen back here. So I've been connected. Like I heard you just fine. I started yapping, and I guess you just couldn't hear me.
Yeah, I wonder if he's got you in some kind of. Now, what are you connected on?
I was connected on access number 3 earlier. Now we're going to try different ones.
Okay. And do we know where Patrick's at? Is he?
Nope, do not know.
All that eating finally caught up with him.
No, I'm guessing he's probably having connection issues as well.
Oh, really?
That would be my guess.
Well, that's right, Kevin. Fun times. So you get the behind-the-scenes looks. Friday, you got to see what it looked like when we go off air. Now you get to see the excitement in Tim Hill's face when things don't work.
What else should we try next? So I'm going to talk with Jen about this off the old live stream, sir.
Sounds good. Just me entertaining the people.
At least you got some comments on the text line and the live stream.
We're going to go with a hat this morning because I don't feel like I'm fully awake. It was not the best night of sleep. And I got to shave. We got all kinds of issues. As you can see, we're just worn out. You come out of football season, you're exhausted. I'm looking at my computer from last night. I was looking at Key West trips for the month of March. So that's our morning. How's everybody out there in the streamland? Hopefully better. I got to keep the headset kind of on in case we come back. If I disappear, it's because I need coffee. Yeah, I think it's Becker's. I thought it was Becker's, but then looking at it, I can't remember. Jonathan, I thought it was Becker's, Paige Becker's. But I honestly was not paying enough attention. I had it on, was looking at other stuff. Yay.
I'm back in with you.
Yay.
But I'm on where Patrick normally connects, so I don't think we'll see him popping in anytime soon.
All right.
But the fact that he's not on the stream is kind of odd.
Yeah, I don't know if he's awake.
Jen, we're good? We're good? I haven't heard you yet in the headphones.
Me?
But I'm gonna go like it's working just fine. And
do what?
But I haven't heard Jen in my headphones yet, but I'm going to go like it's good to go.
Oh, good. All right.
So close for South Carolina's first ever win at UConn last night. Coming up just short in overtime, 63-59 the final score. See a bunch of you weighing in this morning. Thanks for your patience through a little technical issues early on. Bill just celebrated on the live video stream. I saw him putting his hands in the air, waving them like he just doesn't care. No.
It's jarring as people on the live stream just learn when you go to start the show and nobody else is there to join in the fun. And if I've had hours to prepare for an opening monologue by myself, I'm okay. But when it's hey, it's Jen and my going, hey, I think you're gonna have to speak. We don't know where Tim's at, or we knew where you were at. We could look at you, but I'm like, there was sports last night, and we're here to talk about it. It's a show. It's early. I think we're part of the game. You got it. Here's the phone number. So I got us through the first segment. I now step back into the shadows so that you can carry us through the next 2 hours and 45 minutes.
How about that ridiculous bounce that UConn got? I know she led the way, I guess, the number one recruit in the country going into this season as a true freshman. The UConn guard there, Paige Beckers, that scored 31. It was late in the shot clock, kind of a step back three, a little bit off balance, throws it up, back iron, straight up about, how far would you say, Bill? 6 feet, maybe more, maybe 8 feet, and straight down in. And just bad luck there in a hard-fought game. I heard you talking about it a little bit earlier. Yeah, it wasn't the most fun to watch. Very rarely do you see a game that the South Carolina women play end up in the 60s with both teams, much less in the 63-59 was the final score in overtime. So this one was a bit of a slugfest. And to me, as I'm reading some maybe complaining tweets, Travis said the guard play was horrendous, a lot of standing around, and wonders why UConn always has the one girl. Someone else hit us up a little bit earlier, Craig, way too many misses at the rim. This just tells me how far USC women's basketball has come. It used to not even be a game when South Carolina went up to UConn. You remember those days? You don't get embarrassed by 40 kind of was the goal, I think, when this series first started. Now it's not only disappointment in a loss, but frustration because South Carolina seemed like had the better team or maybe more talented team, certainly right there in position to win that sucker, and it just didn't happen last night.
No, and again, it was not a pretty basketball game. There was just a lot of missed shots. South Carolina, I'm with people turning the ball over last night. 17 turnovers for Connecticut, and then you had South Carolina with 21. Destiny Henderson had 8 of those, so she really struggled. Zia Cook with 11, Henderson with 11 last night. Aaliyah Boston leading the team with 17 points. It just was not a very well-played game. Now, I don't know if I want to credit the defense for that. I just thought both teams just struggled last night. Just one of those games where neither team could find a rhythm. I was saying it in the first segment. I had Austin soccer practice till about 7:05, and then was in the car taking it back and was listening to the broadcast. And they were just talking about there was no flow to that game last night. It was hard for either team to get to a flow. And I mean, Tim, when you look at it, last night both teams, this is not what both teams do, but last night, both teams combined to shoot 3 of 24 from three-point range. One of them is a half-court three-pointer. One of them is that one that we're discussing. It's the back iron, goes way up above the backboard and then splashes down through the net. It was just a rough game. We'll see. I don't think that game will define either team. I don't think you'll see South Carolina drop that far in the polls. And they'll go about their business here, and we'll see if there's a rematch coming at some point in the month of March or the first weekend of April.
So first time in, 23 road games Carolina has lost on the road there, and this year they had the win streak going after the loss to NC State as well. That one comes to an end, but obviously no shame losing to UConn, which was, I believe, number 1 in one poll maybe. They're number 2 in what I'm reading and how the AP put it last night with the Gamecocks at the number 1 spot, 1 versus 2 in the country. We've seen it many times before. I feel like this is almost an annual deal at this point, but a little disappointing for Carolina. They're back in action Thursday at home against Missouri, the Colonial Life Arena, 7 o'clock tip time there. Tonight, it's a 6:30, one of those earlier games for SEC Network TV, 6:30 tip for Frank Martin and the men at the Colonial Life Arena. Second of a 3-game homestand. Alabama coming into town and not happy. And the Gamecocks coming off another game that wasn't particularly fun for them. Another disappointing game after a good win against Florida in the midweek, losing to Mississippi State over the weekend. Any kind of expectation from Frank Martin and company? I know we talked about it a little bit yesterday, and somebody mentioned they wouldn't be surprised if they beat Alabama. Bill, you mentioned that this might be the one time you would be surprised, and you feel like the matchup doesn't bode well for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, I'm not crazy, but I mean, I said yesterday I wouldn't be surprised. I do think, I guess it would be kind of on par for South Carolina basketball. They are a 6.5 point underdog tonight. Over under is set at 155.5. So 6.5, 155.5 is what you're looking at. Alabama has lost their last two Saturday games. Was beaten by Missouri this past Saturday, and I believe Missouri got into the top 10 and is now the highest ranked SEC team. If I saw that correctly, I'm going to verify that, but I believe Missouri leapfrogging Alabama after the game. Yeah, Missouri in the AP is number 10. Alabama is number 11, as both are in the coaches poll. And right behind Alabama is the team they lost to the Saturday previous, which is Oklahoma. So Alabama's last two losses coming on Saturdays to 12-5 Oklahoma and 13-3 Missouri. And Missouri currently sits 10th in the AP and coaches poll. Oklahoma 12th in both the AP and coaches poll. So Alabama sitting there at 11th. So it's going to be a tough game. You look at this team and the way they play, the style that Nate Oates has brought in with them. They're an up and down team, similar to what I'm used to seeing from Bruce Pearl's Auburn's teams, which gives South Carolina problems. And the other part of this, Tim, I read the stat off air to you. South Carolina has lost 6 straight to Alabama and has lost 7 of their last 8, dating back to the 2015-2016 season. So not a lot of success against the Crimson Tide in basketball the last half of the decade for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, that Missouri loss, Alabama's only SEC loss, sitting at 10-1, and not going to be pleased. Rolling in plenty of motivation, but this, to me, all this on paper sets up for a classic South Carolina game where it doesn't make any sense. And then I wouldn't be surprised tonight if they come out and play well, just because of the confusing nature, I feel like, of trying to follow this thing and use logic to apply and the whole deal. But we'll see how it goes again. 6 o'clock airtime tonight, 6:30 tip time, right here on 107.5 The Game, SEC Network TV, with Alabama at Carolina. Kind of the first full day, I feel like, I know yesterday was officially, of the non-football season, the football off-season after the Super Bowl. We talked a lot about Tom Brady in Tampa Bay and the surprising defensive shutdown of Kansas City, keeping him out of the end zone yesterday, and everything that meant for Brady's legacy, for Kansas City and the Chiefs moving forward, and the whole deal. We'll probably get much more into the college football discussion. Fortunately for us, with a coaching change comes a lot of new, not necessarily news to go along with it, but a lot of new faces in places, and a lot of turnover, obviously, both from a player standpoint, assistant coach's standpoint. So a lot going on at the Gamecock football program for sure. Do need to pass along some bad news that our Tommy Moody passed along to me. Gamecock great Willie Scott passing away last night. Willie Scott played for the Gamecocks, and we did the conversation about the best NFL career of Gamecocks. He was the 14th pick overall in the 1981 draft, tight end, and played a long time in the NFL and was tremendous, but was in need, had several health issues, and unfortunately passed away. Got that news. Tommy got that news late last night, and he wanted to pass that along this morning. I know all of you really remember Willie Scott fondly. He gave Gamecock fans a lot of great memories on the football field, both in his college career and then a source of pride for sure in his NFL career. So wanted to pass that news along this morning and let you know about Willie Scott. We can certainly take your memories about him, and for those of us who were a little younger, did not get to see him play, I would certainly appreciate any kind of education you can give me about Willie Scott and his career and any memories that you may have. 803-404-6100 is the number into the program. You can also text that same number, call or text. Love Chevy phone lines, Cool Care Heating and Air text line. We see you filling up that Cool Care Heating and Air text line about men's basketball I'm seeing right now. We'll get into more of that and also continue to recap, let you hear a little bit of what happened last night up in Connecticut. That Carolina close close loss in overtime to UConn in a battle of 1 versus number 2. You're listening to the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
Spring will be here before you know it, if you believe it. I mean, some spring cleaning, or maybe it means saving money, and especially doing on your monthly mortgage payment. Interest rates exceptionally low right now, and with the mortgage guru, you might be able to save even more money. I spoke with him just the other day. Jacob Crowder, that is, of First Palmetto Bank. He was telling me he closed 2 different loans with 1.85 interest rates. Can you imagine that? How much money you'd be able to save on your existing mortgage rate if you refinanced right now? Don't imagine it. Make it happen. Give Jacob a call, 803-719-1005. That's his cell phone. Shoot him a text message. Give him a phone call or email him the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER, at firstpalmetto.com. That phone number again, 803-719-1005. Jacob's helping people save $200, $300, $400 on their existing monthly mortgage payment. You can also, if you want to purchase a home, now it's a great time to do it, and you can get a great deal. So don't wait around. Give the mortgage guru a call. It's Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank, 803-719-1005. All right. Now I can get talking.
National Pizza Day, huh, John? Morning, Carl. Morning, Carlton. Yeah, it's rough, man. Sorry to hear that. All right, slow start this morning. This is, football off season definitely is here. And, yeah, when Bill put it like he did about the few threes that were made last night, look at those stats again. 1 of 9 for Carolina, the one half-court shot. 2 of 15 for UConn, including that ridiculous one that bounces off the back iron straight up in the air and goes in. Wow. I didn't realize Eckers for UConn shot 26 times to get her 31 points. 14 out of 26. Wow. Let's get this going. Bill, what's the most shots you ever put up in a game? Paige Beckers with 26 shots last night.
I don't know the answer to that question. I know there was a camp game down in Charleston when I was going into my junior year, and I had 30-something points, and I would have guessed I took a lot. I mean, I had about 30. That was my, the highest I ever scored in it was a camp game. For Lexington, we went down and played in a Charleston team camp. It wasn't on the main floor down there. I was 96, right? So I was going into that was my high point moment. I think I had 33. 38, I had 32 or 33.
Nice.
So I would have guessed I was into the 25 shot area that particular afternoon. That was one of those ones you go down and play 2 or 3 games, 3 or 4 games. Now there have been some back in my 20s. They used to have a really competitive men's league here in Lexington at Sex Agatha Church. There was a lot of I never went to play. I didn't go play college, but there was a lot of like lower level college players who would come back during the summer. It's not fair to compare it to the Pro-Am, but it was similar. There was just a lot of guys from around Dutch Fork and Irmo and Lexington that had gone on to kind of play. Some of them had played in college. Some of them were in college. And there was one year I ended up on the team, and I took a lot of shots. But they didn't – that wasn't a really statistical league. That was a fun league. A lot of fun.
Let's see what we got here on the text line. You haven't read Mark, right? Soda City Mark?
No, I kind of got hung up on a Tommy Moody, just reading text as they came in, then I had to be careful.
Soda City Mark on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100. If you would like to join the show, you can call or text. Mark says, UConn took away fast break points by getting back quickly last night against the Gamecock women. Too much dribbling for Carolina. Some missed bunnies equals a loss. Ugly game. We will bounce back next time. Hack Paige Beckers hard. Intimidate her. Go Gamecocks. That sounds like a Trey Dyson coaching theory there. Just go. Beckers shot 26 times for UConn last night, scored 31. Nobody else in double figures. She was the number one recruit in the country, freshman. 14 out of 26 from the floor. Only getting to the line twice, though, is an interesting stat. Very few free throws shot by either team, really. But how about that number for Carolina actually shooting almost double the amount of free throws? UConn, 3 out of 8 from the free throw line. I don't know how many teams have knocked off a number one team. UConn was number 2 last night, so it's not that huge of an upset for sure. Probably, I'm sure UConn was favored in the game, I would think, playing at home. But I don't know how many number one teams have been beaten when the other team went 3 out of 8 from the line. Certainly missed opportunities there for the Gamecocks, especially at the end of regulation. Aaliyah Boston specifically had some close shots in. She led the way for Carolina, 17 points, 15 rebounds, 3 blocks, a couple of steals, played 43 of the 45 minutes. Destiny Henderson and Zaya Cook both in double figures with 11 points. 11 and 5 for Henderson, 11 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, but 8 turnovers, 21 turnovers for the Gamecocks in total, like we talked about a little bit before, but 17 for UConn. So not the sharpest game you'll ever see played between these two. Neither team shot 40% from the field overall. And then that combined 3-point percentage, Bill, I was talking about it while you're gone there. And the way that you put it was perfectly. So you said what combined, Carolina was 1 of 9, UConn 2 of 15. So 3 out of 24 combined. And 2 of the 3 were a little fluky. One a half-court shot to beat halftime for the Gamecocks, and then the Becker shot that basically ended the ball game as the shot clock was running down, hits the back of the iron, pops up about 6 or 8 feet, and goes straight through the net. Just kind of a weird game overall is how I might put it. To maybe that's just oversimplifying things. I don't know, but that's my big takeaway from last night. What about you?
You know, the final, 8-10 seconds of regulation for South Carolina is kind of how I sum up that game. 3 shots, am I right on that? 3 shots right around the rim, opportunity to win it. And, I mean, they weren't clean, wide-open looks. They were contested, but the number one team in the country has to make one of those shots. And, again, they weren't circus Harlem Globetrotter shots that were getting thrown up. They were makeable shots there. I think Aaliyah Boston had one. I can't remember who had the other. I think 2 other young ladies had them. They were makeable shots, and to me, that was the story of the game. South Carolina just couldn't make the shots when they needed to. I think they got up. They had the run there to kind of get the lead, and maybe South Carolina was going to be able to, or Connecticut did, and South Carolina was able to battle back, tie the game there late. but it just seemed like South Carolina never got comfortable and never got into their own rhythm. And that final 8 to 10 seconds there with all those shots right around the rim kind of, I thought, was the storyline of the game and explained how things went.
No doubt about it. From the women's perspective for Richard here, not excited this morning on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Just ton of moments throughout the game where who was calling for the ball? I guess they're talking about talking about one of the Gamecocks calling for the ball and not getting the ball. Okay, a ton of credit.
And he had to go back. He sent a text it's not his fault. It's just the way the text. But yeah, Liam Boston. He tricked me on that earlier too.
Okay. He was saying, got to give a ton of credit to UConn. With less talent, they back-cut Carolina to death early on for easy buckets, and Becker's is the truth. If you give her an inch after that emotional roller coaster of a game last night, the last thing any Carolina fans needs is to see the men's basketball team, Richard says. This would be enough to push anyone over the edge. That's your overly dramatic hot take from the Cool Care Heating and Air text line this morning from Richard, a combination of 3 texts that started at 5:53. Glad we're here for a little basketball therapy this morning for Richard. Again tonight, 6:30 tip time for the Gamecocks at the Colonial Life Arena against Alabama, who is 10-1, I think, in SEC play. Favored by 4.5. T puts us helps us out on the live stream there for YouTube. We're up and rolling on YouTube, on Facebook Live, on Twitter as well this morning, and the radio. How about that? Trying to do some multimedia stuff. Bill, do you look at the football offseason now, and I'm not bringing my normal attitude into a couple of days after the Super Bowl because of everything that we've gone through kind of as a country, society, maybe the last 11 months or whatever it's been now. Normally I'd be, woe is me. Football season's not, the off season is here. And well, just the fact that we had a football season this year and it was in such jeopardy, and I think has me looking at it a little bit differently than I would normal. What about you?
Well, I was discussing this. Let me sidetrack you for a minute. Football is not over. It is not even close to over. Let me confirm what I think here. If I go to the FCS page, Tim, I believe if you want to get some FCS kicks, It starts, well, look, I think it's in-state teams. Let me confirm here. I meant to do this last night, and again, by the time I got home. Yeah, how about this Saturday? Get fired up, buddy. McNeese State and Tarleton State part of the spring week 2. But I think unfortunately, the way the ESPN schedule is shaped, it's a lot harder. I'll look it up. I believe Citadel gets going, or Furman gets going here in the next few weeks. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird. I guess I've kind of hit an area right now with college basketball. North Carolina, Miami, the latest example last night being postponed 2 hours before the game. That I'm interested to see how we're going to get through the remainder of this month. Correct. Citadel, by the way, correct. Citadel. Who I'll get on board and gladly watch. This is great. Citadel will start at the end of this month, February 27th, against Mercer. They'll host Chattanooga on March 6th. Got a game against Western Carolina, East Tennessee State, Samford, and Wofford. The old Citadel-Wofford game on April 3rd. So I agree with you. It's going to be interesting to see how invested I am in some of these games. 2 weeks from, or not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, Furman will host Western Carolina. So it's not your big boys, it's not your FBS, and it's not your NFL. But keeping up with some of the in-state teams here in spring football could be a little bit of fun. I guess I'll look forward to that. How we wrap up this particular college basketball season, and then the fact that Shane Beamer's pushed spring ball so far out, going into the end of March and then going through April 24th, I think kind of gives me hope that the new horizon is on us, and that by the time we get to there, that maybe not a full capacity spring game, but maybe something with, of course, I don't know how you do it. South Carolina never had 77,000 there for the spring game, but that maybe it'll be open to go to the spring game, and we'll get to go and see. So I think it's more of a new horizon, kind of looking out and seeing the start of something fresh and something new here with the wrapping up of the Super Bowl.
It's definitely different for sure. South Carolina State, by the way, plays its first game, February 20th. I see Carlton weighing in right there. I feel bad for the schools that went to the spring. I understood why they did it, but a team like South Carolina State, I think, originally had scheduled 4 games, and half of those were against another school. They're going to schedule 2 games against another school that ended up canceling the spring. And now they've got 4 games on their schedule, 2 against Norfolk State, 2 against North Carolina A&T. They do start, 1 week from this Saturday, so a couple of weeks, less than 2 weeks away from a spring football season, which is not ideal, but maybe one of the best that a lot of schools could do. Will be interesting to keep an eye on it for sure and see how it goes. It's going to be odd to me to see some college football in the spring. That was one of the reasons why it reminded me that teams are doing that. My buddy coaches high school football up in the state of North Carolina, and we were texting. Old high school buddies who are hitting 25 years now, being out of high school, going to try to do something in the spring. It's like, yeah, try to push it back. I'm hoping to keep playing in the playoffs through May, which is, man, as odd as sentence or something to think about for high school football playoffs. Fortunately, in the state of South Carolina, got through that season, and just being grateful for getting through the NFL and college football is kind of where I'm at. So you're not going to hear my normal complaining today about a long football offseason and kind of what I was talking about with the change around the Gamecock program. An example of that. T says he's looking forward to hearing from Montario Hardesty this afternoon. There's a introductory press conference at 3:30, and you'll be hearing, I'm sure, large portions of that, if not all of it, here on 107.5 The Game later on this afternoon. Time for us to take a quick break. I see Patrick Perrett's up early with us now. We'll see if we can get him in on the program coming up next. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game. Looking menacing, sir.
Yeah, I can't get in.
Yeah, I was afraid of that. I couldn't even get in at the start of the show.
Exciting news over at Love Chevrolet. Not only is it the month of love, but they've added to their inventory. You've always heard me talk about Love Chevrolet as your one-stop shop for your best selection of new vehicles anywhere in the Midlands. But as I was telling you last month, they've added to that. That's right. The folks over at Love Automotive on Knox Abbott Drive in Casey have brought the pre-owned store over to Love Chevrolet in Harbison. You can go visit them, I-26 in Irmo between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. You can get out there today. The same things still apply, though. The incredible service, the incredible sales staff that's out there, always knowledgeable, always ready to help you, make you feel comfortable with an important purchase that is a brand new vehicle. The $1,000 low price guarantee still there. That means you can shop other dealerships here in the Midlands, take the best deal that they give you back to the folks that Love Chevrolet, and they'll top it. And of course, the largest selection now, not only of new, but also of pre-owned vehicles anywhere in the state. You go visit Love Chevrolet, whether it's on the web, lovechevy.com, or in person, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. You will not be disappointed. Get to Love Chevrolet during the money-saving month of love and check out all the great deals going on. Again, that's Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads. I wonder if they got a television schedule up for these FCS games.
So, Patrick, have you tried to get in on the access at all? I'm on number 7 now. It's on the way up.
It's just not popping up. I see them.
Right? You see them and they won't connect?
Yeah.
What does it say?
Remote busy.
Remote busy. Gotcha. I would say right now, I'll confirm with Jen here, but I'm guessing it ain't going to happen this morning.
Probably not. Yeah. That is probably the case. What did they send off number 5 or something? What's the deal?
I'm not sure the deal. I know Ed was messing with it yesterday, and I was told 3, 6, and 7 would be working for us.
Oh, okay.
And I connected to 3 this morning, could hear everything fine, and heard myself rolling through, and Jen just never heard me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm texting Jen right now in that little thread.
She doesn't even have internet, I think, back at the studio.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's not a fun morning for her either. So how about you try to pop in on 7 real quick, see if that even works for you. Let me disconnect real quick. See if I can anyway. Yeah, actually, I'm just going to do this last segment like this, and then can we try it at the top hour?
We can mess with it at the top, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, boy.
You see Todd on the text line, Bill?
Yeah, our old Alabama buddy.
This is the guy who said Pat Mahomes is so overrated and froze on the big stage, and they're biased commentators.
It's true. Maybe he's not being funny.
I agreed. I would not read this on the air because it would just put everyone in a bad mood, I think. I agree this past football season was a little different, but no matter, the more things change, the more they stay the same. South Carolina has a losing year, fires their head coach. Alabama wins the national championship. Same old, same old.
That's a cheery person to wake up to.
Does that make him feel better?
I don't know. What we've created at times is I think people who know they can be, who want to be funny, and maybe we get a little bit too sensitive about it.
But where's the funny part? All right, Patrick, I'm going to take you out of this real quick.
I'm going to be slightly upset that I cannot find an FCS television schedule for the fall or for the spring.
Probably isn't one yet. I'm trying to figure it all out. So close last night for the number 1 Gamecocks up in Connecticut. Overtime is what it went to. 63-59 the final score. Aaliyah Boston and a couple of her teammates missing some close shots right there at the end of regulation, and the Gamecocks coming up just short of getting their first win on the road at UConn. Last year it was almost a passing of the guard in a lot of ways, where UConn came to a packed Colonial Life Arena. It seems like another lifetime ago, doesn't it, Bill? When we had packed arenas and a pre-COVID world, but last year it was Carolina just dominating UConn, and then on their way to what would have been the number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament until the NCAA tournament didn't happen. And this year it was just a bit of a slugfest last night, might be the best way to put that. I said weird earlier. There were a lot of weird parts about it, just to see 2 really good teams not shoot the ball very well. And I get it that you give the defense credit, but when UConn goes 3 out of 8 from the free throw line, you can't explain that one away with the other team being really good. Just wasn't the crispest performance by either team, but a lot of Gamecock fans may be feeling better this morning. I've seen the sentiment that if it's on the neutral floor, get a rematch against UConn, you certainly have a good shot. And Carolina had its chances last night. Bill just couldn't end up pulling it out.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was not a good game to watch. This isn't some kind of thing on women's basketball. Just in terms of basketball, neither team looked comfortable. And you look at the shooting percentages. And again, Tim, I didn't think it was necessarily great defense for whatever reason. Just neither team seemed to really get into a rhythm. And I don't really give as much credit to the defense of South Carolina last night. We talked Destiny Henderson, 8 turnovers. The Gamecocks, I think Hank on the text line said 22. The ESPN stat line that I had said 21. Connecticut was 17 turnovers. again, the ending of the game. South Carolina struggles to get the ball down the basket there. They've got I shouldn't say great, but three opportunities, three decent looks at it that those girls are capable of making, and they can't get one to go. And then on the flip side of that, Beckers throws up a shot there at the end of the shot clock in overtime, hits the back of the rim. You expect it to come off, and the Gamecocks to have an opportunity to win it, but it splashes through the net. And even was it Cook who took the first three? They were down 4, and it just goes in and out. And I was watching the highlight. She let it go, and she thought it was just buckets. She was already backing away, holding up the wrist, and it just goes down and out. That was just kind of the night it was. Just both teams, and it's one loss. I expect the Lady Gamecocks to get a rematch here when we get around to March.
I think probably the most encouraging stat for Carolina, plus 13 on rebounds and the differential there, and clearly an advantage. And it took a good bounce on a 3 for UConn, and they beat Carolina in overtime. To me, it just shows how massively Carolina has closed the gap and maybe even gone the other way on that thing. Hour number 2 coming up here on the early game. All right, let's see if we can get Patrick in on here. Oh, everybody's in now. How about that?
On the stream? Oh, look at you guys are also pretty.
Yeah.
Okay, see Miss Porcupine has arrived today.
Tell you what, I'll trade you spots this morning. That'll work.
Oh, I'm good.
So, Patrick, I'm going to try to disconnect right now, and then do you try to connect on 3 and just nothing?
Yeah.
Okay. I've had GQ, so I obviously wasn't hearing anything.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to get Patrick connected here. I'm going to disconnect on 7, see if he can even connect on 7, see how that works.
Okay,
and then
cool.
Try 3. I know last night we had to connect to Sirius XM to get the basketball game out. So I'm thinking that might be the reason if one of our 3 deals isn't working, that might have had to push the buttons to do that and didn't get it reset or something.
That would be very possible that it's still connected to.
Okay, can you see if you can?
So where the rack is at?
Yeah, Patrick, can you tell Jen about that?
It should just be on the computer. If it's connected, you just have to press disconnect on the Sirius XM IP on that computer. It would still be pulled up, I assume, if Dave did that.
But which computer? You're talking about the computer in the rack?
On the rack, yeah.
Okay.
So, Jen, I think that was 3. I'm guessing that might be why. Or it might be 6 or 7, too, but I think it's 3.
All right, let me go look.
Patrick, you're going to try to connect on 7? Now I'm disconnected.
Local busy. Huh. I guess I can reset again.
You're going to reset yours?
Yeah, because it said local busy.
Okay. Something just kind of scrolled, it looks like, on my screen, so it might have just officially disconnected or something.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to reconnect on 3 here. So I'm in on 3. They never heard me. Let's see if we can hear it in the studio popping up. So did you turn yours off, turn it back on?
Yeah.
Ooh. I just saw them all in a flash on mine.
Don't mess me up now.
Oh, yeah, we're just rolling the dice.
It ain't going to be hard to convince me to go back to bed.
Nobody's brought that up at all this morning, Bill.
Yeah, I can be easily convinced.
Did see we're going to take Monday off. Did you see that at least?
Yeah, I saw that. I was very pleased about that. Sounds like my boss should get some kind of present.
I hear you, Craig. Your brain's breaking. Thinking about Jen.
Yeah.
This is the longest it's ever taken to turn on. And it's just a white screen.
Yeah, is there anything telling on the screenshot I just sent? Oh, it hasn't got through yet.
Jen, you don't have me through 3, do you? From the studio perspective, I'm talking and I'm connected on 3 and talking, and everything's normal on my end.
Yeah.
Nope, nothing. Okay, I'm going to disconnect and get back on 7 here.
All right. Yeah, we got to come back in because I don't have any top hour.
Good grief.
I'd say just
This is all I'm saying now. It won't even turn on.
awesome.
Talk nice to it.
That does typically work.
Huh?
Buy it a drink.
Yeah.
Either talk nice to it or drop it.
Power source. I'll just take the battery out at this point.
You got me now? You got me now on 7, Jen?
I do.
Okay. Patrick, I say your call here, but feel free to call.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll just give it another go tomorrow, but I at least want to get this thing turned back on to make sure. But, all right.
Oh, poor Patrick, trying to get him in on the show, some technical stuff. Good times this morning. Good times. It's always good to have a perspective changer. And to me, that's what sports has been here in the last 11 months or so. It's why I told you in the first hour, Bill, I'm not coming in on the Tuesday after the Super Bowl with my normal thought process of, man, the long offseason's begun. I'm so bummed that we don't get football. You pointed out very correctly in hour number 1. Well, first of all, that's not even accurate this year because a lot of colleges are trying to play a spring football season. A lot of colleges in the state of South Carolina. You mentioned Furman. Is the Citadel one of them? Because I know the Citadel played. I know they played just a few games in the fall, so they're doing a fall/spring season, huh?
Yep, Citadel opens up one of. I just had it in front of me, but I believe it's the Citadel that opens the 20th. Yeah, Citadel opens up the 27th. So Furman will open up the 20th against Mercer. Citadel will open up the 27th against Mercer.
South Carolina State also opening up on the 20th in our state in the FCS level. How they end up getting through a spring season, certainly nobody can anticipate, but we all understand why they made the decision to do that. And it's going to be interesting to watch here in the next few weeks and months.
Tim, I think some of it, I agree with what you're saying about kind of maybe not being, negative about football season. I think as we come up, today is February 9th, about a month away from when we all kind of went into, I guess, the lockdown or whatever, we really lost sports. There's an appreciation for it. And so as I kind of look out over the next few months, I still see the NBA going. I have not gotten into the NBA quite like I typically do. You had a good game last night in Milwaukee and Denver. It was late. Giannis had 35. Jokic had 30. Giannis had 30. Jokic had 35. I'm looking real quick, as I just have to notice that to see if PJ Dozier recorded anything. But you've got golf. I was excited. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, about the amount of golf that is coming up. I don't see Dozier. I don't even see Dozier listed on the roster.
PJ's been averaging about 20 minutes a game there with the Nuggets this season.
He must be injured right now. I have to look that up because he's not even listed as a guy who did not play coach's decision. But to go back, I don't know. There's kind of an appreciation for that right now. He's set to miss multiple games. All right, there you go. He's missing multiple games. That was 2 weeks ago too. But there's more of an appreciation for sports right now. I'll get into the NBA a little bit more as we go through now without the NFL. The PGA, again, you and I talked about it. I think you said you were watching it with the kids on Sunday, kind of the lead up to the Super Bowl and the kickoff. You had a really great Waste Management Open finish there. Kepka chipping in. You had Speed kind of hanging around. Really, Saturday was phenomenal with Justin Thomas being in the mix as well. Rory was kind of hanging around, and so this week it keeps on going, and I'm excited about the PGA right now as you get into Pebble Beach this coming weekend. The Genesis Invitational, then they get into they start making the Florida Swing in 2 weeks with Bay Hill, and then the Players Championship March 11th through 14th. That was the weekend last year where kind of everything went downhill because I was supposed to be there for that. So I'm kind of with you on this. Like, I think there's an appreciation in getting a little bit of spring football. Saturday was nice. Sunday was nice. I was able to sit out on the back porch and watch golf and kind of do the pregame stuff for the NFL. We fixed up a charcuterie board there. Had some fried shrimp going, some buffalo chicken dip, and enjoyed being outside. Had a little bit of bourbon, had a cigar, and hung out with the neighbors. And I think getting a little bit of FCS football, I'll maybe pick one team, maybe the Citadel, and maybe really get involved. That's what I was looking. It looks like ESPN Plus, unfortunately, may be the network or whatever that gets the benefit of this. I see again the game this weekend. There's McNeese State and somebody else was scheduled to play. It's going to be on ESPN Plus. But if they throw a couple of those things on ESPN2 on a Saturday, I'll be all in. Give me a little bit of the in-state team that I can pull for, somebody we get behind, Wofford or Furman or Citadel, and learn a little bit about those guys. I'll be all in on a little bit of spring football as the weather changes. Gamecock baseball is set to begin. Somebody hit me up on the text line or, right before as you were having problems and talking about Gamecock baseball. We've got that getting going here. So I don't know. I think it's an appreciation for sport as we come off of the end of the football season, and not so much, oh man, it's a long time to get to a football, but it's an appreciation for what we have and to enjoy every minute of it. And I gotta admit, I'm like everybody else. South Carolina basketball has been difficult to watch because it's been up and down, and 1 minute you think that there's a chance to maybe have a decent season, and they follow that up with a loss like they did on Saturday. They beat Georgia, they hammer them, and then they lose to Vanderbilt on the road. That's okay. Bounce back, beat Florida, but then lose again on Saturday. I get it, but there's an appreciation for sports, and with this weekend coming up, you get kind of a break, and then we get the Dayton series gets going a week from this coming Friday. So good fun times, man. I'm okay with it. I have a newfound appreciation for just being able to sit down and enjoy golf or baseball or basketball, whatever it is.
Couple of notes in there. PJ Dozier sitting out with the Nuggets because of a hamstring injury right now. Anonymous texter wanted to give us a heads up. Newberry College also starting football on March 6th is their first game. DJ heard something I said a little bit earlier maybe about closing the gap with UConn, and that was my big takeaway last night. 1 versus 2. USC women's basketball coming up just short. They had 4 shots at the end of regulation to win that thing, end up losing by 4 in overtime. Yeah, you definitely do have to win more than one game against UConn before you go the other way, I guess is DJ's point. My point was it looked like South Carolina's the more talented basketball team. They go in there and out-rebound UConn by 13 and have 4 legit looks. I would say 2 that you probably should have made at the end of regulation to win the ball game. And the 13 rebounds is where I'm going to stick with. I just remember when it was really the first time that I thought Carolina went up to UConn and had a legit chance. It might have been the first time it was a 1 versus 2 game. And the Gamecocks had a post-player advantage with Elena Coates and Asia Wilson. I think this might have been Asia's first season or second season. And they went up there, and there was such a disparity outside of the post advantage that the Gamecocks had. UConn blew them out. And I felt like it was almost the other way, where Carolina had the advantage in athleticism. Gino Ariema, I guess, after the game, talking about how his top player there, the number one recruit in the country, the freshman that scored 31 last night and became another weird stat, his first UConn player to score 30 points in 3 straight games. How she's slow, and he means that actually as a compliment. He kind of takes her time, doesn't get rushed, was her point. But watching that game, man, Carolina, it's hard for me to believe that if they meet on a neutral court moving forward, they get a rematch, that they won't win the ball game and shouldn't have a lot of confidence, especially knowing Beckers was the only UConn player in double digits, and the Gamecocks turned the ball over 21 times last night, only had 1 3, and that was a half-court shot to beat the buzzer at halftime. I think there's a lot of reason for optimism there, or maybe it's just how you want to look at this thing. Surely there's a lot of reason for frustration as well. You can take any of the shooting numbers and say 7 missed free throws and the missed 4 shots there at the end of regulation and be really frustrated. I get that. 21 turnovers, certainly not pretty. You mentioned how it was a tough game to watch. It was sloppy in that. From that perspective, UConn turned it over 17 times, so 38 combined turnovers between the two teams, and neither one shot, I think, in the 40%, right? The Gamecocks shoot less than 37, just under 40% for UConn. So it wasn't a pretty game to watch by any stretch of the imagination. But just the fact that Carolina goes up there and it is a much different matchup than it was, rewind, 40 years ago, even, after Carolina kind of reset things and had its way with UConn last year at the Colonial Life Arena, just has a different feel to me. I get it if you see it a little bit differently. That's why we have the old Cool Care Heating and Air text line and the Love Chevy phone lines, 803-404-6100, ways for you to get in on the program. You can also just go straight into the live video streams on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter and hit us up directly there. Craig does that. Says, seems like UConn just always has a guard that takes over. Used to be Dangerfield, I think their name was. Oh, yeah, they've had a lot of great players through the years. But what I saw last night wasn't one that you just felt like was unstoppable, even though Becker's clearly a really good player, scores 31 points, and helps that 3 at the end of overtime. I think there was about 15 seconds to go as the shot clock was ticking down under 5, and she just kind of heaves one up. It hits the back iron, goes straight up in the air about 8 feet, and drops straight through. Sometimes the ball just doesn't bounce your way.
To your point last night, I don't know how many people maybe got on Twitter or stayed on Twitter after the game. It seemed the national perception, and I didn't mark these tweets, so I forget who said it, but there was a couple that seemed to lean toward Kentucky. Connecticut was lucky to get out of that game with the victory. That they can't continue to play like that and win basketball games or win a national championship was kind of the point. They're number 2 in the nation, so they're obviously a good team. But the general feeling on Twitter last night was that South Carolina played about as bad as they could. They'll be fine. It was that Connecticut's right now kind of a one-girl machine with Beckers, and they're going to have to find help, or else they're going to not make the run that their fans expect. Remember, we're talking about programs that expect to win the national championship, not just get to the Final Four. Getting to the Final Four is nice. Winning the championship is the goal. And it seems like a lot of the national consensus on Twitter last night post-game was that South Carolina will be just fine. That was an anomaly for the Gamecocks, that Connecticut's not built to handle that if they play each other again.
So typically on a Tuesday after the Super Bowl, I'm all bummed that football and the offseason is here. And, oh, man, this thing is going to be a long, long time until we get football. Again, that's not the case this year with some spring football involved. Not the case specifically for the Gamecocks, because today you get to meet a new Gamecock assistant coach, the 10th, and what we presume will be the final coach, Shane Beamer coaching staff, Montario Hardesty, set to be introduced this afternoon. 3:30 Zoom call is the schedule this afternoon. Tom Brady allegedly or reportedly texting an apology to the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, for their back and forth. We'll get into the details on that as we continue to roll on this morning. 803-404-6100 if you would like to join. It's the early game. It's 107.5.
107.5 The Game. The game is on the air, online, on your.
No.
What is this text?
Which text?
Brady to Matthew.
Oh, what is this text? Oh, I thought you meant on our lines.
No. Interesting. Very interesting. Patrick, let's not forget that UConn isn't likely to make a shot that bounces 20 feet in the air and in. 20 feet, Patrick, come on.
Everything's bigger in Patrick's world.
Yeah, Travis, we hear you. No, Patrick was ready to go. Well, kind of ready to go anyway. Just didn't work out this morning. Didn't feed the hamster.
Sorry, I plugged in the toaster earlier.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, it was cold this morning.
You what?
Just feels like I was looking at the weather. It's supposed to get in the 60s today, but it just feels kind of colder this morning. It feels a little chillier.
Yeah, back home it's 3 right now, so this isn't bad.
Perspective.
Yeah.
No, I'm allowed to live in America, which means I get to choose where I live. I would not choose to live there.
Oh, guacamole. You're saying it could be worse.
You know that, right?
Yeah, so now they were mentioning snow as a possibility, and yeah, never happened this past weekend. Is that what you're saying, Travis, or is it supposed to be this coming weekend? I never look at the weather.
Well, you want a perfect example of the weather? So somebody put out that tweet showing, they got, apparently, I don't know all of this stuff, but they've got the 2 models, the Euro model and the GPS model or whatever. And so I saw this on Sunday. I think it was the Euro model. One of them had it being around here in Columbia, 35 degrees with a chance of snow.
Uh-huh.
And then the other one had it about 61 with rain.
Classic.
Wow. Job security.
I don't live in Virginia. I've chosen to live here on the lake in Lexington, South Carolina. I would like to be able to open my doors right now and enjoy the sun and warmth. I'm going to have to go further south. I tell you what, the older Austin last night, we were at soccer practice, and it wasn't freezing. It wasn't too bad. I think it was probably low 50s. But me and a couple of the other dads were standing around talking about how cold it is. And you look out there, and 3 or 4 of the boys are either in shorts or got short sleeves on. We were talking about I think it's a age thing. As you get older, I think the cold you just feel it.
Does. Yeah.
I know it affects your bones and joints, but I think you just. I'm less tolerable to it. I would much rather it be 100 degrees with extra humidity and me be sweating than I would.
I would agree with that.
Like I've come to that. It used to not be that way. I used to much rather. I'd say no, I don't like sweating. Now I'm like, I'd much rather take that than this.
Yep.
I hear you, Steven. If you're born in Florida, you got the warm blood in you.
All right, heading back in. All right, you guys are up.
I'm still trying to work out my feelings about Tom Brady. We'll do that more in just a second. First, wanted to get to a couple of texts. Justin from Kershaw, Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Can't wait till this Friday's 6-hour show. Last week was a blast. It's not going to happen this Friday, Justin. Not going to happen. We had fun last Friday, for sure. Not going to happen this Friday. Patrick on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100. Let's not forget, UConn isn't likely to make a shot that bounces 20 feet in the air and in. We played a, let's put it nicely, not a smart game. UConn couldn't shoot, so both would be better another time, but we shot ourselves in the foot over and over, and UConn just got flat lucky. In other words, I'm more frustrated because we were clearly the more talented team, but I walked out of the game very confident. Patrick talking about last night's number 1, number 2 matchup. I feel like we've seen it several times now with the Gamecocks and UConn women's basketball, where UConn survives at home 63-59. Carolina had 4 shots at the end of regulation, a couple of really close ones, and couldn't quite pull it out. Aaliyah Boston with a couple of those shots just couldn't come through, but did lead the way with 17 points, 15 rebounds. Destiny Henderson, Zaya Cook also in double figures. The Gamecocks out-rebounding UConn by 13, but did turn it over 21 times, missed 7 free throws, only 1 out of 9 from 3. So I think I understand where Patrick's coming from about feeling pretty good about moving forward, as opposed to in years past. Now, this was not last year, obviously, but before then, playing a UConn team and losing by double digits, if not 20 plus. They were just uncompetitive there for a few years, even though the Gamecocks did have good teams kind of early on in Asia Wilson's career. And feeling like there wasn't much you could do when I watched those games, Bill, when I felt like UConn kind of had an all-star roster and maybe had, if not the best player at their position, certainly one of the top 2 or 3 in the country. And there was just still a massive gap in the parity between UConn and everybody else. That thing has been blown up now the last few years, you feel like, and certainly South Carolina right there with UConn at the top of women's basketball. You saw it last night, even though it was not a fun game to watch necessarily, or a highly well-played game on either side. Will be interesting to see how it continues to play out. Again, the Gamecocks back in action on Thursday at home against Missouri. Tonight it's the Carolina men against an Alabama team coming off its first SEC loss and back-to-back Saturday losses, having lost in the SEC Big 12 Challenge to Oklahoma beforehand, now fallen behind Missouri as the top-ranked team in the Associated Press Top 25. They're number 11. I think Missouri's up to number 10. So Alabama will be highly motivated in tonight's 6:30 game. We'll see which Gamecock team we get, Bill, whether it was the team that went on the road and beat Florida last week or the team that came back home and just didn't play very well in a 16-point loss to Mississippi State at home.
Yeah, and again, different coaches, different players. It's not like these teams stayed the same, but it just of late we talked about Frank Martin having Mike White's number when South Carolina and Florida play. Well, it's kind of the opposite for Frank Martin and Alabama. I mentioned that they've lost 6 straight to Alabama. They've lost 7 of their last 8 against Alabama, dating back to the 2015-2016 season. This is, for whatever reason, Tim, and Alabama, I've always kind of associated them with being a very athletic basketball program. Guys that have length, that have height, but being a little undisciplined. As I was going back through some of the games yesterday, some of the names that popped up, I was like, oh, it's I remember that guy. There was a game that I came across where Riley Norris. Remember old Riley Norris?
Oh yeah.
Scored 27 in the game down there. But for whatever reason, it's just this has not been a game in which South Carolina has had a lot of success over the last 5 years. As I kind of go back, it looks like even in 2014, 2015 is how far I've gone back, because I'm just kind of glancing at it. South Carolina split with Alabama that year, beating the Crimson Tide 68-66 here in Columbia on a Tuesday night, but then losing in Tuscaloosa 59-51. So, if you're doing that, that makes it 8 of the last 10 that Alabama has been able to win against the Gamecocks, and that's going back to 2014, 2015. So it just seems like it's. I remember during the Dave Odom era in particular, when Bruce Pearl, I believe, was at Tennessee. Maybe it was Pearl. Maybe it was Jerry Green was the coach. I can't remember. Maybe they kind of overlap. But Tennessee was ultra athletic. They were long. They were athletic. They could shoot the ball. Chris Lofton was there. They had guys, and it was just a bad matchup for South Carolina every time they played. And then they finally turned the table on that a little bit. But with Alabama, it kind of feels the same way. So tonight, you get this team coming in. If you look at them on paper, you just look at the numbers, they don't necessarily jump out at you except for one statistic, which is terrifying. You know what? Are you looking at it? Can you look at it? You want to guess what that one statistic is that I think, especially with what's going on with South Carolina, that absolutely scares you?
Is it 3-point shooting, I would assume?
3-point shooting. Alabama can knock it down from 3-point range and do it at a high clip. And the way South Carolina's played defense, I think that's what concerns you when you look at the fact that John Petty Jr. is over 40%. Herbert Jones is at 48%. Javon Quinterly is at 48%. Is at 38% as a guard. And then you've got Josh Primo, who's at 41%. They shoot the 3 ball really well on the season. They do average 79 points per game. This is a team that can put up a lot of points and get up and down the floor. But highest scorer, Jaden Shackelford, comes in averaging 14 points per game. They don't have a guy who you look at and go, okay, that guy's probably going to go for 20 or 25 tonight. They just do it with a bunch of players. Obviously, the Columbia connections, Jordan Bruner, whose sister Ashley played at South Carolina, and then Jordan went to Yale for 3 years and is a grad transfer there. And then you've got Juwan Gary, who is the freshman here in town and ended up going there. Gary not doing very much this year, 3 points, 2 rebounds, averaging about 7 minutes a game. Bruner, 22 minutes a game, 8 points, 5 rebounds for him. But certainly a guy that two Columbia natives that'll be excited to play back in front of their families tonight.
I'm pretty sure Bruner is out with injury for at least maybe 10 more days. I think the last I saw was a couple of weeks, and I think that update was last week. So I don't think he'll actually be in action yet. I believe he played with PJ Dozier at Spring Valley, which again is hard for me to believe because of how long PJ's been gone. But I remember going and covering those guys with a TV camera, and they were a heck of a team, and you could just tell had plenty of good basketball in front of them. We mentioned PJ out with the Nuggets here the last 10 days or so as well with a hamstring issue. Bill, there are 2 names that pop out to me as you were talking about Alabama basketball. You mentioned how athletic you feel like they've been in the past, and I even had to look it up because the first name that popped in my head was Latrell Sprewell. And because I'm so old, and Latrell Sprewell is now 50 years old, I had to go back and double check. I am right. He did play for Alabama, right? Yeah, he played with Robert Horry back in the day, and I think that's a great example of really athletic alums that they have in their program, where it just hasn't been a dominant basketball program by any stretch of the imagination, but has had some really good players. And then more recently, you want to guess the name that popped out in my head? It wasn't Riley Norris. That's a good one. I know a lot of Gamecock fans just kind of say that one under their breath. They're just really frustrated. And there's one more that I think is even more frustrating to Gamecock fans. You want to guess what that is? You got a name for me, Bill? You got nothing?
Well, no, I was
game.
trying to narrow down specifically to your name. Like I was thinking about Ronald Steele. I mean, the Mark Gottfried era But who are you thinking? What's the player who jumps out to you instantly?
Avery Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that 4 overtime game? This was during the Final Four year. Alabama comes to the Colonial Life Arena. Sandarius Thornwell shoots 1,000,000 free throws, whatever it is, to try to single-handedly keep him in the game. And Alabama ends up winning that game. That day, I just looked it up. Avery Johnson Jr., 26 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. Like he was on his way to follow in his dad's footsteps. Sorry, 23 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Played 44 minutes in that 4 overtime game. Do you know how many points Avery Johnson Jr. averaged in his senior season? So that was his sophomore year. He ended up averaging less than 7 that year.
Yeah, I was going to say 5 or 6. I couldn't remember. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this brings
He
up
averaged 1.8 points his senior season of college. His average went down as a junior to 4, and then less than 2 his senior season. And somehow that has to be his game in college. And it happened at the Colonial Life Arena against the Gamecocks in that Final Four year. To me, that is an example of just the matchup you were talking about, how Alabama seems to pull something out of its hat when it matches up against Carolina and finds a way to win the game.
Well, you go back last year. These two teams play in Tuscaloosa late in the year. South Carolina needed a victory. Alabama at the time was 16-12, 8-7 in conference. South Carolina was 17-12, 9-6 in conference. Gamecocks led by 2 at halftime. Alabama put up 49 points in the second half, and Alabama won 90-86. It was Kiera Lewis Jr. who's gone, who ended up having 25 points that game. Keyshawn Bryant last year, 22 for the Gamecocks in a game. And then you also had a freshman. I don't even know if he's on the roster this year. I don't know where Javon Davis is at. I didn't even see his name as I was scrolling through. He might still be there. I haven't done a whole lot of research on Alabama, Tim. That's why I didn't know about Jordan Bruner being out. But Javon Davis steps up with 20 last year in this ball game. And you're exactly right. I was you had me thinking, we brought up that Riley Norris stat, having 27 points in a game a few years ago. It does seem like Alabama has one guy who all of a sudden, against the Gamecocks comes out of nowhere to have a monster game and put up mid-20s. I'm just going back 2 years ago, 2018, 2019. It was Lewis Jr. again, who had 17 at Colonial Life Arena in a 68-62 victory for Alabama. So we'll see tonight. I think South Carolina can match up with them, but what scares me is 3-point shooting for Alabama, and then the ability to get up and down the floor consistently and make plays, not turn the ball over. And let's be honest, it really comes down to one player, right? If one guy's got to have a big game tonight, who are you going with?
Yeah, to me it does. We talked about it before. Jermaine Couisnard, eh?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's Couisnard. Is there a reason you threw in the Canadian A on that? But no, I'm with you. To me, that's exactly what it is. Jermaine Couisnard tonight has got to play a good game. And if he does that, South Carolina will have a chance in the final 5 minutes. But if you get the Couisnard that we've seen at times over the last few weeks, it's hard for me to give South Carolina much of a chance.
Pretty sure that Javian Davis, who you're talking about from Alabama last year, now plays at Mississippi State and only played 3 minutes, I should say, against the Gamecocks the last game, and did not score. But I'll go back and double check that one for you. It kind of says where college basketball is right now, and some flux amongst rosters for sure. We'll see what Carolina can do tonight. We are 11 hours from tip-off, I guess, at the Colonial Life Arena, 6:30 tip time, a little bit earlier than usual for the SEC Network television, and 6 o'clock airtime again right here on 107.5 The Game. We're past the halfway point of the show. Need to take a quick break. We kick off the second half. When we come back, 803-404-6100. Again, a text message from Tom Brady that I think just kind of sums him up and is another reason why I just can't get on board. It rubs me the wrong. That's coming up next. Details on the way. It's the early game. It's 107.5.
Some guy that has a famous last name. It's not some retreads. We're a bunch of guys that I think are pretty good people that we can do some special things in.
More coffee.
Hi, boy.
Oh yeah, are we having Carrie back on Friday? The Daytona 500s this week?
Yeah, we need to talk about that. Let's do it right when we get done with the live stream, if you don't mind.
Me.
I was thinking maybe we move it to Thursday.
Up to you. Up to you.
I'm trying to think of, it's a relatively busy day admin-wise yesterday, but I don't think anything that affects you. I think we got the big personnel announcement we'll make public here soon about the old noon show.
Oh, that's right.
Good news.
Confused me. I was like, personnel? What did I do? I'll tell you, it was Juwan Gary's fault that the Alabama three-point shooting average is so far down. He's only averaging 14% from three-point range. That's why Alabama's at 35%.
Nice, Waddy. My sister was up in the mountains snowing this past weekend as well. Jen, do you ever get into snowing skiing? I'm trying to say skiing.
I never did. I went a couple times, but no, just like sledding and stuff. But
right,
like kind of one big hill in town that everybody'd go to.
Well, that's a heck of a team. Is that what you're seeing there? Craig's got you guys. Kovar Crowder.
Wait, what?
Fine follow through on his Facebook profile there.
No, I was looking at some stats for tonight. Oh,
March
boy.
12th, by the way, the golf tournament. Love to have you guys out there. I'm going to do that heckle hole. Instead of making everyone have to look at me take a shot, it's much better for me to take shots verbally on the microphone and speaker and maybe have some people talking some noise with me. That's going to be much
fun. A date for the tournament?
March 12th. Friday. The next week. Yeah, so that'll be conference tournament basketball weekend, hopefully, this year. Also, that day, Carolina's at Texas baseball.
Cool.
And then it's the next week that the NCAA tournament starts. And Heath was telling me that it's not going to be Thursday, Friday like normal because of the bubble, I think, this year. I think they're planning on like having maybe the first day of full – it might be Friday is the first day of full games.
Of the NCAA tournament?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I think, this year. I haven't looked into it yet, though.
I haven't either. I got some Alabama stats on that three-point shooting. We can get back into that, too.
Do you want to get into this text message thing? And Jen would like you to weigh in as well. This will be we'll broaden it out to more like text message etiquette.
Oh, man, that's what I need to discuss. Oh, boy.
If for some reason I don't respond, it's because my speakers have all blown in here. So.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. They're kind of coming in and out.
So do you have to listen to the show through your phone? Is that where you're at?
I may be getting close because even the Q speakers are going out and my headphones. So, yeah.
So what you're seeing behind the scenes here is that we can work remotely for about 10 and a half months, and then it all just goes.
Right.
Hey, big question. Should we ride the rest of the Moderna wave? It has shot up in the last few days. Actually, it was up big yesterday. Or do you sell out of Moderna now? $187.49. Get out now.
I'll probably be the first person placed in timeout because the rate things are going this morning. You might see my iPad go flying through the air. So I might be told I have to stop.
I'm still trying to figure out how to do it. So Steven mentioned that he remembered that I found out yesterday you could put people in timeout on the live stream. Maybe this is what it is. You can't do it on the Facebook people. I'm guessing maybe you can do it on the YouTube people. Let's see.
Oh, that could be. We're about to head back in.
Yeah, that's what it is, Steven. So I can only block you. Or
Only the YouTubers can be.
So it's not just us. Oh, okay. All right, you guys are up.
Tom Brady's the greatest, okay? There's no doubting it. 7 Super Bowl championships. Basically plays in the NFC or AFC, the championship games, more than, right at 2/3, exactly 2/3 of the time in his NFL career. 14 out of 21 times. Ridiculous. 7 Super Bowl rings, more than any franchise ever. Ridiculous. He's the best. But I don't have to like it. And I figured out when trying to verbalize this to my mother-in-law at our little Super Bowl gathering, small, don't worry, don't have to get up on their soapbox, just a few of us, that the reason why I'm not a Tom Brady fan, not only has he won for as long as he has, but it's that he doesn't wow me when he plays. I never say, oh, wow, did you see that play? He's not that guy like Patrick Mahomes is, throwing the ball when he's parallel to the field. And I just am amazed by what he does. Kyler Murray makes those plays, Bill. Another example of an athletic quarterback. Michael Vick's, I think, the best in my lifetime of it, just watching a guy, and you just have to marvel at what he's doing on the football field. I'll put Leonard Fournette in there when he was certainly in college and running the football and flipping Auburn guys over his shoulder and the whole thing. They're just some guys that I watch play, and I have to like because of the jaw-dropping plays they make relatively consistently. Tom Brady's not that guy. He just methodically will beat you and consistent, efficient, and the whole thing. He's the best. And I think another reason that I'm not a huge Tom Brady fan is what I'm reading about his latest deal. Apparently, reportedly, Tom Brady sent a text message to Tyrann Mathieu to apologize. Now, what he exactly apologized for, I'm not sure. And this is where I think he's trying to have it both ways. Look, Tom Brady's also the best competitor, I think, in my lifetime. As I was about to say that, my head wanted to say Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's more athletically gifted than Tom Brady. I think we can all say that. So I think I have to give Tom Brady the edge, man. We've all seen that ridiculously unathletic video of him running a 40-yard dash in his NFL combine and him with his shirt off and the whole thing. That guy, there's definitely some jealousy all wrapped up into my feelings about Tom Brady as well. Saying if he could do it, why couldn't I do it? There's something in there. That's my feelings towards Tom Brady. But what are you doing texting Tyrann Mathieu? Apologizing that he lost his composure, I guess is how the article I'm reading from ESPN is saying. He apologized for losing his composure. And look, Tyrann Mathieu is not without some guilt in some of this thing. Apparently he was asked about it, and he said he never really seen that side of Tom Brady after the game. And then Mathieu goes even worse, and this is this is completely breaking the laws of player code. I feel like when you go to Twitter and you say, well, yeah, he actually chased after me, and I'm the one that got the flag. He deleted, I think, some of those tweets, but he put it out there, man. I feel like Tom Brady just wants Tyrann Mathieu to like him, but I don't think you can have it that way when you displayed what you displayed on the field, which, man, that's Tom Brady. That's why he's great. I got no problem with it. Bill, I've told you several times, I feel like this is the ultimate in competitiveness. And me and my high school buddies would go after each other at PE or whatever, and then after class, we'd be buddies again. And you could do that. But you can't be buddies with everybody. And I just don't like the text message that Tom Brady throws out here. You can't call the guy. That's another thing. Maybe it's just I don't like text messages.
Now, I was going to say, you're not one that I think can have this conversation now that you're going down this path.
Please feel free, expound.
Well,
because to me, the text messaging is almost insulting because you only are having your side of the conversation and throwing it out there, as opposed to having to at least listen to the other person talk for a certain amount of time and then respond.
Well, okay. Several things here. Look, I looked it up. Tom Brady's played 301 games in his career. I've never seen him be that competitive with an opposing player not with an opposing player. I've seen him yell at his coaches. I've seen him yell at his teammates. I've never seen him chase down an opposing player after a touchdown and give him an earful. When you play 300 games, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt on that one, and say that, look, in football, I would venture to guess, having never played anything more than Pop Warner football or middle school football, that professional football is a little bit more of an emotional sport, just a tad, I'm sure. These guys are competitors. Brady knew what was on the line that game. If he said something that was crossing the line, that's one thing. But right now, I don't know that for a fact. We don't know that for a fact. Tyrann Mathieu has deleted the tweet, and I don't know if he's going to talk about it anymore. I have no problem with the text message in and of itself. Trying to text somebody after the game, I'm pretty sure that Tom Brady knew Tyrann Mathieu did not want to answer the phone, was not going to answer the phone, maybe didn't even have Tom Brady's phone number. And in this world we live in, I don't know how many people answer phone calls now from phone numbers they don't recognize. So the text message is probably the easiest way to instantly get in touch with Tyrann Mathieu and let him know his personal feelings, and then if he wants to respond that way. I just feel like this story has too many holes in it at this point. We don't know what exactly was said on the field. Tom Brady, to me, has earned the right to be a little aggressive, but I don't think he's necessarily – I have no problem with this. Like, to me, it's kind of a non-story. Like, I'm not sure how this got leaked, if it was Tyrann Mathieu, if it was somebody in the Bucs organization. I don't know if it was somebody close to Tom Brady who's doing a little bit of a PR thing.
That's totally what I think. Listen to the way the ESPN article is written. And by the way, it's according to a source. It says the text message was read to them. ESPN was read the contents of the text out loud. I mean, that's definitely somebody in Tommy's camp there, Brady's camp, putting that out there to try to.
This is grade school. I mean, really, who cares?
Well, what was said? What was said?
I don't know.
Well, that's part of it. We don't know what was said, and I don't know if we need to know what was said. But obviously, well, exactly. Well, that's it. When you say grade school, yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it needs to be a story. It doesn't bother me that he did it. It doesn't bother me that, at least as of now, with not knowing anything else, it doesn't bother me what was happened on the field. I've watched Tyrann Mathieu enough to know he's a pretty emotional guy on the football field. I've watched Tom Brady enough to know that he's pretty emotional and has got a pretty big ego. And if there was a little chirping back and forth, now did it cross the line at some point? I don't know. We don't know that. I don't know if this story is going to develop anymore. But yeah, in today's day and age, look, there is definitely, Tim, if you want to take the true old man rant, if you want to go down the true old man rant that so many people will have, which is players back in the 90s and the 80s and the 70s, they weren't buddy-buddy off the field. They didn't go and have beers or go on vacations and ride a banana boat around like LeBron and Chris Paul and Carmelo Anthony and all those guys. That, it's the AAU culture. I hear more about it because it's NBA related and not as much NFL or Major League Baseball. But you hear about that, right? That that's one of the things, Jim, we've talked about with NASCAR. That the back in the day, the in the pit fighting and the kind of the back and forth that was what made NASCAR truly great. That if your guy was Earnhardt and somebody else had a rival,
the passion. Yep.
Yeah, it was. And we've kind of liked that. We liked it when, what was it, Chase Elliott and Kurt Busch, I think was it Chase Elliott, was telling him he's number one as Busch is driving by last year at a race.
That's just cheering him on.
Yeah, exactly, Steve, exactly. And so we say all that because I think, Tim, if you wanted to go the old man rant and say, look, what's said on the field stays on the field, and it's the place of, the game, and You don't have to be buddy-buddy with anybody. Okay, I can understand your point there. But I do understand where he's coming from. And again, we don't know what was said.
Did we witness what happened? I don't remember the incident.
Yeah, they've got a clip of Brady chasing Matthew kind of off the field, and Matthew turning.
Again, do we really have to know what's in that? And then do we have to know the apology? And it's like,
it's
diving too deep.
It was a non-story.
Yeah.
Except someone made it a story, and I guarantee you, doesn't that read to you, Bill? Can't you read between the lines that Tom Brady's people put that out there in hopes of helping his image?
Well, Tyrann Mathieu is quoted in the article, and actually comes back and says, and maybe not, but he comes back and says, he's clearly chasing me, but I got flagged. Or no, he said it in a tweet. I'm sorry, he deleted that tweet. That's why it does finish with he deleted that tweet. So, it is Tyrann Mathieu who, look, Tyrann Mathieu is the one that as he points out, got flagged. And I think in a way, no, I could see where this is Tyrann Mathieu putting it out saying, hey, look, what that dude did was so bad he had to send me a tweet apologizing and telling me how much he's appreciated my competitiveness and how he's watched me since LSU and how he thinks I'm an incredible leader and a champion in a class act. I can totally see why he would do that, because you're right. If it was a story, it would be the one that we'd be like, oh, that's Tyrann Mathieu, Honey Badger. The dude's known as kind of being vocal and loud and disturbing, and this is Tyrann Mathieu saying, look, this guy had to send me a text apologizing. I'm not apologizing to him. I'm not ashamed of what I did. I'm the one that got the flag. So, no, I can see it the other way.
I've got to apologize. We need to take a break. It's the early game. It's 1:75.
All your fault. All your fault.
Home of the Gamecocks and new head football coach Shane Beamer.
I'm a process-driven person, and we're going to get started day one advancing this program. And
107.5.
I just told John the cat go running by. And now see another cat out there. What's going on?
And from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com. I-77 southbound around Blythewood Road, a report of an accident there. Also, McCord's Ferry Road at Farmstead Road in the cleanup stages. I-20 eastbound at Highway 1, you'll also find a tie-up in the forecast for today. Going to see that rain start to roll in, and that'll continue off and on throughout the next few days. 63 for the high today and 60 tomorrow. Right now, it's clear. 47 at 107.5 the game.
Excitedly told his mother that he had grown to over 8 feet. His mother told him he was wrong, so he demonstrated that he was indeed 8 meters high. The problem was that he used a 6-inch ruler. Sometimes we measure ourselves with a 6-inch ruler and think we're bigger than we really are. Or we might use an 18-inch ruler and think much less of ourselves than we are.
I have moved a couple spots so that the 57 is a little bit longer, and that way it sort of gives you guys a little bit of a buffer since we don't have the 8 o'clock sports minute.
Okay.
So you still kind of get like the 2-minute thing, but it's a little sweep.
Thank you.
Duke and Notre Dame play at 4:30 today?
That doesn't seem right at all.
These college basketball schedules are a lot to keep up with.
It gives you time to watch the Clash tonight.
The Flash?
The Clash.
Is that a baking show? What we got?
Daytona, nothing. Daytona, road course, Clash.
Weird, yeah. I'm seeing that 4:30 tip time as well. ACC Network. Guess maybe they were planning a triple header today with Florida State, Virginia Tech, but that one got canceled. Maybe that was supposed to be the late game.
So basically, we will go straight into the end hour bed.
Gotcha.
Guys are up.
I'd rather hear about Bill's latest coffee drinking preferences than who Brady is texting and why. That's from Teddy D. Summing up some of you and how you feel about this story that maybe isn't
45.
I thought it was one of our best discussions ever. It was to the point, if you don't like it, we can't get into my coffee. We can't bake. I found a little bit of the coffee for wellness left. I think we're going to go to Black Rifle Coffee starting this week, maybe today. I got to go purchase some.
Joey from Sumter says, perhaps I'm missing something. I apologize if so, but if I remember correctly, Tyrann Matthews, the one who came up to Tom Brady, shook his finger in his face and then ran off. That's what prompted Brady to run him down and talk some smack doing it. Yeah, I think that's basically
15.
what happened. That's very fair. But now going back and texting I don't know. Maybe I'm just anti-Tom Brady and bitter. We'll try to work it out in hour number 3 here on the Earth.
Quick. I guess I feel like he's strong enough to, if he's
See what Travis had to say here. Woo. What was awesome, I wonder. Is that what the text is from Waddy? Is what he's saying? How about this? Do you see this? None of the 13 winningest programs in college basketball are ranked. That's nuts.
Wow.
I'm going to have to double check that.
No, that's right. I was on Twitter yesterday. Rothstein or Goodman put it up.
Most wins all time.
I thought maybe
college
Austin
basketball.
did.
Sorry, what was that, Jim?
I thought maybe Austin put it out. You know.
No Twitter for him yet. No tweeting for him. No, Chad, I'm going to order. I'm actually, this is going to sound stupid, so I apologize. I'm going to order another bag of coffee for wellness. It takes a few days to deliver, and I want to try something else, but I really do feel better now. I don't know. I've worked out. I haven't worked out since Thursday, and my workouts are 45 minutes, which consist of like 15 minutes of 15 to 18 minutes of cardio and some core stuff and some very, very light weightlifting. But I really do feel better. Like, I would highly encourage anybody to try the coffee for wellness. And I just want to try something else. And you can go to Kilo Charlie Gun Range right here in Lexington is what I'm told. I've called over there, and they have the Black Rifle coffee, and so many people have talked about it. I want to try it. Greg Sankey actually tweeted about it, I think, Saturday morning. So I want to give it a try, but I'm definitely going to order. I might go on the bigger bag of Black Rifle coffee because that one only lasted me. Tim, how long did it lasted me only about a week.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it didn't last me very long. So no, Chad, I'm all in on I'm all in on coffee for wellness. I just want to try something else, but I got to be honest, I'm feeling the way I felt my stomach, like just health-wise. I can tell a significant difference in energy. I've actually dropped. I dropped about 4 or 5 pounds, which was good. Now, some of that was I was eating a little bit better, or I just would do a few things different. But I'm definitely all in on the coffee for wellness. I just want to try something else. Yeah, the silencer. There was a dark roast. I didn't like the Black Rifle Coffee website. I wanted to buy a bag off of there, but it's like everything made you sign up for their coffee club.
It still all tastes like coffee, right?
Well, it has been a big step. You got to remember where we were 4 years ago with me showing up with something that looked like a milkshake. And Tim will tell me, I mean, back then, Tim was black coffee, and he was trying to convince me of it. And it only took 4.5 years.
Ugh.
Chad, the answer is yes. Bill, you're not all in on something if you're not getting it the next time.
Oh, I disagree with that entirely. You can still be all in it, but want to try something else, right?
That's not all in.
Do you not? Is there not a particular bourbon or scotch that you like?
Yeah, but there's not one that I'm all in that I would just have all the time.
You're really playing semantics on me here, buddy. I bet you get,
Buy 2 bags before you say you're all in on something. That's all I'm saying. You got to get more than one to be all in on something.
I'll buy the second bag here in the next hour. How's that?
But if you're not using it, you're not all in. That's all I'm saying.
Well, why would I buy it if I'm not going to use it?
Good question.
Why buy the cow if you're not going to get the milk?
For free?
I don't know.
About a minute and a half left in this stop set. Or train
I
ride.
can put my head up on bulls? What?
Right.
That was Travis's point about Tommy Boy, I think. Courtney, it does take a little getting used to for sure. It is an acquired taste. I remember I made that face too when my parents used to tell me wine was an acquired taste. I'm like, oh yeah, that just means it's terrible. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Good call, KT. You can order it on Amazon. That's the way to go, man. Let them bring it to you.
Actually, what I just do is I drink black coffee now, and I sing Luke Bryan from Hunting, Fishing, Loving Every Day, where he says black coffee in the morning, dark whiskey in the evening.
To get me to drink the black coffee, I would have to put the whiskey in it. That'd be about the only way.
Yeah, I mean, like how do you drink black coffee? I mean, definitely a different. It's different, but I've noticed, I really have noticed some health benefits to it. I'm hoping my skin, is supposed to help my skin, make me look prettier.
You seem to be glistening a bit more, so.
I got, is it crow's feet? What is it? What's under your eyes? Getting old.
Yeah, I
Those
know.
feet are on the sides, I believe, sir.
Yeah.
I need some cucumber. I need a facial.
Okay. We'll work on that recipe. Get some tea bags for the puffiness.
But that's just where you punch me.
And I'm just giving you a solution.
Kevin, what coffee can I order on Amazon?
You chatted it.
Hope, I don't know if I'd say I love it, but again, I really do feel healthier. I really, really actually, in all honesty, do feel healthier. I am not doing Botox.
Give another year.
We got.
You're up.
Black Coffee and Botox, the official sponsors of the off-air segment. This might have been subjected to on the live video stream.
It was a good, who was it? Teddy D who said that about the coffee. Would rather hear it. Boy, Teddy, you missed a great coffee discussion on air. A lot of good information on a couple different brands and health.
I don't think you missed anything. You didn't miss anything. Unfortunately, Gamecock women's basketball missing out on a signature win, their first ever at UConn last night. Had 4 shots at the end of regulation.
Yes.
A couple of close ones, especially from Aaliyah Boston, just didn't go down, and the Gamecocks lose it by 4 in overtime. The final score, really, if you didn't watch it, really sums it up, 63-59. These really good teams. The class of women's college basketball, you might have to throw another couple of teams in there this year. Louisville, NC State obviously came to Columbia, beat the Gamecocks earlier. Maybe more parity at the top of college women's basketball this year than there has been maybe ever, certainly in the last several years or several decades when UConn has been dominant here. With the way that these two teams play, and I think UConn went in like averaging 87 points a game, something like that, Bill. We know the Gamecocks have scored more than 100 several times this year, but 63-59, the final score, really kind of sums this thing up for me in what kind of game it was, a slugfest, and unfortunately for the Gamecocks, they come up just short.
But you keep calling it a slugfest. I feel like that implies that it was a really good. Do you think it was a really good defensive game?
No.
Or do you think it was just two teams that never found flow off it? Like, I never watched that game. Like, man, this is pretty good defense. Like, South kind of missed a lot of easy shots around the rim. I never once watched that game and felt, and Connecticut, I'm not going to sit here and try and trick anybody. That's the longest I've watched Connecticut play basketball in a year. So I don't know much about their team outside of what I watched last night. But I never watched. I think Connecticut's a little bit more offensively challenged, and the young lady Paige Beckers stepped up big. We pointed out 26 shots last night, 14 to 26, 31 points. Obviously, the three-pointer there in the final 15 seconds. But when you say it was a slugfest, I understand why you're saying that. I just felt like it was two teams who just showed up and didn't play their best game last night. And
York hits us up with a stat: USC women 18 for 45 on layups.
Oh, thank you, York. Yeah, again, I don't think that was defensive. I don't think that you hate to lose. You never want to lose a game like that, and you'd like to close this series a little bit more. It's now 9-1 in favor of Connecticut, but I walked out of that game. I got up off the couch and went to bed thinking, I don't think South Carolina's women can play any worse than they just did, and they lost on the road to the number 2 team in the country by 4.
I'll take it to the next step, but I think you got to throw UConn in there and the brand name that is UConn and everything Gino Auriemma represents, and not just the number 2 team in the country. And I brought it up earlier, just the perspective of how things have changed and how Dawn Staley has not just closed that gap. I think they're very much equal. Or if they play again on a neutral court, is UConn going to be favored? I don't know if they would be. And when you out-rebound a team by 13, Carolina out-rebounded UConn last night by 13. That's a very difficult thing for a coaching staff to then overcome in the next matchup. I don't think everything Gino Auriemma can draw up and scheme and practice for and go into a game with strategy-wise, I don't know if you can game plan around that, Bill. There are a lot of things you can game plan in basketball. I don't know if a 13 rebound deficit is one of those things.
8 of 45. That's the stat. If that's, I'm not saying that York is just making things up, but
18.
Okay, I'm sorry. You said 8 at first, which made it even worse than 18. But yeah, either way, that to me is the stat. Even if it's 18 and not 8, make make 3 of those and you win by 2. So I think South Carolina will be fine. They'll get back into SEC play. Did you see last night the stat, and I forget who was announcing the game, but they kind of made the comment about it, and the graphic they put up that had the top 4 seeds in Mike DeCourcy's bracketology for the women. It had. Were you watching the game?
I was.
It was great. But they had South Carolina as the last number 1 seed in, or I don't know, because the announcers kind of discussed that just a little bit. But go about getting into the tournament. Now, Tim, you and I off air were kind of talking about it in relation to something else, but how they're going to do the NCAA tournament this year. It'll all be, I guess, in the bubble in Indiana, in Indianapolis. So
the women will be in San Antonio.
Okay, San Antonio. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, and so you don't get that. You won't get the first round here in Columbia like you normally would. Last year, obviously, it was expected to be in Greenville, so I don't know what the regional site was going to be in 2021, but it'll be a little bit different going to San Antonio. But still, South Carolina should be favored and make a few adjustments, learn from the mistakes last night. I'm sure Dawn Staley will have kind of a tape watch party this afternoon and tomorrow, and I expect this team to continue to roll on and be ready for the NCAA tournament. That's what matters the most.
Tonight it's men's basketball, the Colonial Life Arena. So USC women back in action on Thursday at home against Missouri. Tonight it's Alabama. SEC leading Alabama when it comes to the conference standings. They just fell 1 spot behind Missouri, who beat them over the weekend to give them their first SEC loss as far as the highest-ranked SEC teams out there. But Alabama coming to the Colonial Life Arena, Frank Martin and company have not had good luck in this matchup. It's the exact opposite matchup. Wouldn't you agree, Bill? That Florida has been for Frank Martin in his tenure at Carolina. 6 straight losses. I think you told us 7 out of the last 8 Alabama has won in this series.
6 of really going back a year earlier, 2014, 2015 now, we looked at it, 8 of the last 10. So they've lost 6 straight, and back to 2014, 2015, 8 of the last 10.
And the two players specifically that pop into my mind with Alabama basketball, Latrell Sprewell way back in the day. I know he played with Robert Horry. That's another great Alabama alum, but reminds me of just how physically talented Alabama teams have been through the years. And then most recently, it was that ridiculously good game that Avery Johnson Jr. had against the Final Four team, the eventual Final Four team of the Gamecocks and Sindarius Thornwell. They won in 4 overtimes. And Avery Johnson Jr., a guy who went on to average less than 2 points in his senior season of college basketball and only averaged, I think, a career high 6 point something in his sophomore year when this game happened. Went for 23, 6, and 6, I think, in that 4 overtime game. And just Riley Norris is another name you brought up a little earlier, had an amazing one game in Tuscaloosa one time and had played well several times against the Gamecocks. It seems, for whatever reason, Alabama figures out a way to beat Carolina in multiple ways in these matchups recently.
South Carolina's really struggled, Tim. You and I were talking about it last year with teams from the West going to Mississippi, going to Alabama. That's kind of been something that's always been an issue throughout SEC play. But, yeah, of late, it's not that Alabama basketball has been tremendously better than South Carolina. They just, for whatever reason, have struggled in these games. Tonight, you're talking about Alabama. We were talking about what scares you with Alabama. Bring back up my stat here for you. Alabama will enter this game as they are 11th nationally in 3-pointers made, averaging 10.5 per game. So that's their average. Now, on the flip side of that, they're not afraid to shoot the 3-pointer. They are coming in tied for second nationally, averaging 30 3-pointers attempted per game. So, Tim, we talked about it, that Georgia game that now seems like months ago where South Carolina blows Georgia out. They played that sag-off defense and kind of forced Georgia into, I think that night was a 4 for 21 3-point shooting night. Does that sound right?
4 for 26, I believe.
4 for 26. You're not going to be able to do that tonight. You're going to have to get up and guard Alabama, who loves to take the 3. And South Carolina's own ball defense has really struggled. And so when we talk about matchups, at least on paper, this is not one when you talk about how Alabama's playing defense, how Alabama's playing offense and how South Carolina's playing defense that seems to bode well for the Gamecocks. Again, the spread tonight, 6.5. Alabama is the favorite. Over under set at 155.5.
Just popped it up on the live stream there. Waddy weighing in on the Facebook live stream with the comment of none of the 13 winningest programs in college basketball history on the men's side are currently ranked. That sums up college basketball 2021 on the men's side, and barely, you could almost put 14 in there. Bill, you want to guess who the 14th winningest program in college basketball history is on the men's side? Just as a random stat to throw out there. You guys play along. 15 is ridiculous, by the way. Darren Horn in Western Kentucky are listed at 15 right now on the list I'm looking at, but 14.
Who's 14? I mean, this is the most random question we ever had. Who's 14?
Don't even want to take a guess? Not even going to play along this morning, huh?
I would need to see the first 13 to kind of
take a guess, just to throw out a name.
Clemson.
No.
If you're going to tell me to throw out a guess, don't be like shocked when I throw out a guess. I have no clue who's 14.
All-time winningest college basketball programs? Purdue is there. Purdue is the 14th, and they're only ranked number 24.
It would have been higher.
Okay, so I'll give you the rest of the list there. Since, do you want to start at the top and throw some guesses out there? Or?
So is it Duke is back at the top?
Duke's at number 4. Oh. North Carolina at 3. You got Kansas is up there at 2. You got the number 1.
Is it Kentucky?
Yep.
Okay,
so those are the perennial blue bloods, and then after that, I would have never guessed that the number 5 school. So I'll give you it's a little bit outside the box at 5, not a Power 5 school, if that helps.
It's not Gonzaga, is it? It's going to be an older.
It's not.
It's going to be an older school.
The last couple of decades, maybe it would be. Keep going. The program was in the news lately. I'll give you that hint, and not in an on the floor kind of way. and nothing nefarious, nothing bad. From a you're not going to take a guess? Nothing.
I mean, I was going to say like an Xavier or Butler or
it's right around those lines. Temple. When I say nothing bad, obviously John Chaney passing away wasn't good.
I'm shocked by that. I didn't realize that they'd been that good. You said that was 5?
Yep. 5th winningest program of all time. The list I'm looking at: Syracuse, UCLA, Notre Dame, St. John's, Indiana, rounding out the top 10. Cincinnati, Utah, and Arizona. Those top 13 programs, all-time winningest basketball programs on the men's side, not ranked right now. And Purdue, again, at 14. If you took them out, they're barely ranked at 24 and 25. Western Kentucky, I don't believe, is ranked. They're not having any kind of season. So you keep going down. It's interesting. Illinois would be the next team. It looks like the most solid team out of the traditional powerhouses, or the teams that have won the most college basketball all time. It is a odd year. Appreciate that stat, Lottie, for pointing that out. 803-404-6100. If you're not on the live video stream and you can't just chat in the old Facebook or YouTube, any of that, you can pop right in. Travis says UCLA. Yeah, UCLA is up there. Sorry if I skipped right over them. They're number 7 all time in most wins. And it looks like one of the reasons they might be down on that list is they started playing basketball in 1920 as opposed to Kansas, who started in 1899. And most of the programs, Temple started in 1895, might have helped them add up a few more wins through the years. 803-404-6100. You can call or text the show as we roll on here in hour number 3. Want to get back into that Tom Brady discussion. And again, why it irks me so much that he texts Tyrann Mathieu and tries to apologize there. And now the story pops out. I'm not sure exactly how you handle that, but the texting. It's the texting. And then, how about the job Brad Underwood is doing? Craig points out, back to college basketball. It's a tremendous job up there at Illinois. No doubt about it. The former Frank Martin assistant having a really good season in that ridiculously good Big Ten conference play. So we'll touch back on that Tom Brady, Tyrann Mathieu story. And then we are in the middle, or just beginning, I should say, the offseason for football at large, except we do have some spring football this year. So it's a different climate for sure. We'll see what we can do with it here in hour number 3. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The home of the Gamecocks and new head football coach, Shane Beamer, 107.5 The Game.
Today's an absolute dream come true. Not just to be a head football coach in the Southeastern Conference, but to be the head coach at the University of South Carolina.
Welcome, Coach.
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com. I-20 eastbound at Highway 1 continues to be a problem there. Also, I-77 southbound at Blythewood Road. And a little farther down, I-77.
So, Travis, UCLA ranked, I see, in the coaches poll, but not in the AP. So I think it's been going on the AP.
The rain's going to be rolling in, and could see some off
UCLA,
63 for the high.
24th, right there with Purdue. But Purdue is 24th in the AP.
Right now, it's 47 at
UCLA,
175 The Game.
1, 2, 3, 4th highest team receiving votes in the AP.
If you have a tough legal problem and don't know where to turn, the LRS service at the South Carolina the LRS program can refer you to an experienced lawyer.
That is a sports talk discussion right there. Where are you headed? Yeah.
I'm just standing up. I'm very upset about this discussion about being all in on the coffee for wellness, and you guys, just because I want to try another, just because I've now gotten into black coffee and I want to be able to experience other things. I'm very offended that you guys are saying I'm not all in on the coffee for wellness.
Were you just saying you're all in on black coffee now?
I'm going to stick with it for a while.
Maybe that I was trying to help you out. Like maybe that's where you were going. It wasn't just the.
But I want to this is a new thing. I don't want to. I don't know what else is out there. Maybe there's been a lot of people promoting this Black Rifle coffee.
Oh, Chavo, welcome, sir. You haven't gotten your stream of consciousness text in on the show. Been missing you. Yeah, chat, I'm with you. Bill, it's the phrase all in. You can just say you like it. There's a difference between liking something and being all in. I feel like you're the Kelly Bryant of all ends right now.
No. I want to see what else is out there. But right now, black coffee for wellness is the number one black coffee for Bill Gunner.
Okay, but if there was only one, then you'd be all in.
Right. Just say you're all in on black coffee. Don't give
But
any
he's
more
not.
specificity.
No, I have to try something else.
Right.
You're not all
I
in.
don't know if I'm fully all in if I don't know what else is out there.
Oh, man.
Got to give it a shot. Thank you. He's, just
Yeah, he just joined in. He doesn't know. He's just trying to poke the bear, get it going. I see what you're doing over there. I know that little game.
I'm very content right now.
10 about what?
My coffee preferences. I did just look up this Black Rifle coffee on Amazon. It's a little bit more expensive on Amazon than, of course, I'll say that. I'll go see how much it is at this place today.
Okay, well, yeah, you'll have to
I
look
don't
a
know if
little
there's
bit.
anything more American right now, or that screams more American than I'm going to a gun shop to buy my coffee.
All right, we're heading back in. If that
Yeah, Jen, thank
doesn't
you.
interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, Alan. Tim and Jen need hugs. That's what I've been saying, Hope. I'm all in on coffee for wellness. I just want to give something else a try. Who knows? Maybe it'll take me all out. Kilo Charlie, yeah, that's where I'm going.
I guess we're up.
Do you know those people who will do anything to be liked by everyone or to feel liked by everyone? That's what I'm getting from Tom Brady here. Look, man, you're the greatest. The greatest football player ever. Some would say the greatest. I took it even a step further. I said the greatest competitor ever. My brain wanted to stop me from saying the sentence because I put Michael Jordan in that category, but we all would admit Michael Jordan clearly more athletically gifted, physically gifted than Tom Brady. Tom Brady more accomplished now than Jordan. Jordan had 6 titles. Brady has 7. So I got to give it to him. Even we had somebody text in early and say they finally consider Brady to be better than Joe Montana now that he has 7. So 6 didn't do it, 5 or 4, none of those. But now maybe you had to leave the Patriots, I guess, to give it to him. Okay, to me that's a ridiculously high standard. So it's not that I don't respect or appreciate the greatness. It's that I just don't have to be a fan of it in the process. And I mentioned earlier, he's never been that jaw-dropping quarterback that I just have to watch, like Michael Vick, like Kyler Murray now is. I'll give you even Aaron Rodgers, as he's scrambling and throwing, I think is that guy, not quite to the level athletically of what we just saw in the guy competing against Tom Brady and losing out and maybe certainly losing a leg to stand on in the eventual argument if he goes on and wins a bunch more championships than Pat Mahomes. Those guys, I watch them and I have to like them just because I can't turn away. I feel like I'm going to miss something incredible. They are incredible. Brady's track record is incredible. Someone said, hit us up with a text earlier and talking about the way that Tom Brady executes a 2-minute drive is jaw-dropping. And no, that's not jaw-dropping, man. It's efficient. It's tremendous, but it's kind of more the death by the 1,000 cuts as opposed to just being anything outstanding to me. So that's how I see Tom Brady overall. And then the latest story is that he has now texted Tyrann Mathieu. They had the exchange in the Super Bowl. Mathieu gets flagged, wags his finger in Brady's face, and then Brady chases him off the field. And Mathieu went on Twitter, which he should not have done at all, to try to justify himself or tell his side of the story. He's like, he's the one that came after me and I got flagged. Yeah. But to me, that's breaking the code, first of all. You don't go take your little side of the story to Twitter. Come on, man. I get it. You lost. It stinks. I didn't think you should have got the penalty. I thought it was unfair. But don't go to Twitter about it, man. What are you doing? But then the text from Tom Brady, the story is that he just sent a text out there to apologize and wanted to show his respect for Tyrann Mathieu being a competitor in the whole thing. To me, this is just Brady trying to repair some image deal. Bill, I saw, was that a physical reaction to my take on this one? You just shook your head.
I mean, I think I don't know who felt the need to leak this out there. Again, it very well could have been it could have been the honey badger, but I think it happens more than you realize. Again, as it's called, the AAU sports culture now, where everybody needs to be friends, and you don't get me to believe that it's just you don't have as many rivalries, as much dislike in sports. Some of that's social media. Some of that's the need to be friends with everybody and to be liked by a lot of athletes. And so I think this happens way more than you probably realize. It just doesn't get put out there. And quite frankly, it doesn't bother me that he did it. It wouldn't surprise. I wouldn't be the least bit shocked, or I wouldn't care the least bit if he'd done it multiple other times in his career. It's one of my favorites, yes.
Does Brady reach out if he had ended up losing? I don't think he does. That's from Travis. And I think that's also a part of it too. That it's easy to be gracious when you win, man. And to me, it just rings hollow. And I think is another reason why I'm not a Brady fan is this thing. Also, that you would do it in a text. Just the texting in general irks me. Especially anything like that, because you can never get tone in text and the whole thing. Well, just call the guy. I get it, Bill. You said that who answers calls if you don't know the number and the whole thing. Yeah, you can't leave a message. At least if it's supposed to be any kind of plea to emotions, then you should put your voice on it as opposed to just type it out, send it. Did you send it with an emoji?
Might have. Maybe a GIF.
It's so weird to me. So weird. That's just me. I understand if you don't even care about the story, you think it's overrated, the whole thing. I get it. Cocky Codger says, I have to admit that Brady's a better athlete than me. I'm better looking and my wife is prettier than his, but he's a better quarterback. Kurt says Ric Flair's got 16 world championships, so TB12's got a lot of work to do to catch the Nature Boy. He's not the only one that has written in this morning about that. There's a difference between the greatest and the most talented. The most talented, anonymous texter says, they're so overpaid that the talent around them falls off. That's why Tampa's so good now. Talent doesn't flock to Tom. They come because his teams can afford it. Come on. I don't know what that means exactly. But, yeah, there's a
big Brady hate that has happened here in this last I don't like.
Yeah, Sean's got a good point. He says maybe Brady's being a grown-up and apologizing like we all have to do sometimes instead of maintaining some manly, tough guy facade. That's not what I'm saying, that you have to be a tough guy here. I'm just saying that authenticity, I think, is where I think this one kind of misses the mark. If you're going to be if you're going to authentically apologize, maybe at least call the guy or don't have this story leak out somehow. I don't need to hear about it because it helps your image now. I think that's how I'm reading this between the lines. Maybe I'm off. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. But that's where I am on this thing, and maybe it's just because I take the bitter perspective on Brady as opposed to giving him the benefit of the doubt.
But this is a weird conversation. And this is evolving, and I like this. This is evolving, and I wish Patrick was here. Because this is evolving from the text message to the personal, the general feelings for Tom Brady. Because you talk about being authentic. Patrick Perrette last week absolutely despised LeBron James, and I can't even remember for what reason. What was the reason last week? Do you remember?
What were we doing? This was the story about LeBron James. Oh, this was he got the fan kicked out in Atlanta.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
That was courtside Karen.
He absolutely despised LeBron James, and there's a difference because you and a lot of pretty much all of the people who are texting in respect the ability of Tom Brady. So this isn't about I think he's a bad player and he's been lucky. No, nobody is questioning how good he is, but it's how you view them. Patrick totally respects LeBron James, but he calls him fake and phony and just all those things that you just called Tom Brady. And I feel like the personalities of LeBron James and Tom Brady, who are arguably the two biggest faces in American sports right now, would you agree that the personalities are entirely different?
No. How are they entirely different?
Because you got I don't ever see Tom Brady going on what was his social media, Instagram or Twitter, and doing the Taco Tuesday thing and trying to be. Has Tom Brady ever been in a movie? I'm asking. I don't know. Has he been in a movie? Has he acted?
Oh yeah. What was that? The one with Mark Wahlberg and just Ted, right? I think he was in Ted.
Was he? Okay, one. All right. I'm too busy watching Monster-in-Law to pay attention to any other movie. So
over and over.
It's just people come over and it's like, wow, you got it on Amazon Prime and Netflix and Hulu and YouTube. My goodness,
look at the Monster-in-Law, Bill.
But I feel like they are different people, and I do feel like LeBron tries to be more out there in public, whereas Tom tries to hide his lifestyle more, but I feel like they're different, and for both reasons. Huh?
And do a documentary.
What, a Facebook documentary?
It was a movie. They put it out on Facebook, yeah, but so because they didn't put it out on Amazon Prime, it's not public.
I'm not buying it. I have no problem with Tom Brady, and I have no problem with this, and I think that is a part of it. That doing it through text message, I get where you, Tim Hill, would be upset, but I mean, it's no different than when Jen belittles me in the studio, or she used to, and that she used to, shoot spitballs at me, like when I would walk out or tie my shoestrings together and, do that stuff. And then she'd send me a text message later apologizing, saying, hey, I didn't mean to hit you with a 2x4 today. Your face got in the way. Like, it's kind of the same. Mm-hmm. Or the comments about you being short or not quite as smart as me. Like, that was how she apologized. She understood it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Jim.
It's
that. You guys must remember
his little world.
Tim and
See? And she'll send me a text message in a little while. Sorry for that comment today. I said it in the heat of battle. It's all right.
But I'm not going to leak. Even if I did that, I wouldn't leak it out to the public.
She'll tell me how she's always admired my work from afar, and I'm a true champion leader. Have a great part.
So what's in that coffee that causes the hallucinations?
I'm telling you, the all-fair conversation. If you're not on the live stream, I am very disgruntled with people over coffee right now.
Tim and Chapin, my apologies, trying to get in this text, Jim, from you. And Pun, by the way, pointing out the irony. How much does Tim hate reading the text in the morning? I love reading the show text. I absolutely love it. You guys must remember, Tim and Chapin says, Tom Brady loves to text. For instance, he used to text his equipment manager in charge of the footballs all the time when he was with the Patriots. Solid shot, sir.
That's a good one, though. That's the best text of the morning. Good job.
That'll take us to a break here. 803-404-6100. Tough loss in overtime for the USC women last night at UConn. Men in action against Alabama. We'll talk a little bit more basketball for the Gamecocks and an introductory press conference, another one for Gamecock football, and a new assistant coach coming. It's the early game. It's 107.5 again.
No.
Full-time job, KT. Exactly. Don't give me that Mr. Perfect routine, Tommy B. Allen, he's got one more year, $24 million, I think. So he signed a 2-year deal. So he's got one more. What if he pulls a LeBron? No, yeah, he ain't doing that. Oh man, you guys and your coffee. Good question. Craig asks about the old game companion tonight. Bill, you up for it?
I got the kids, so that one's gonna be a little bit more difficult because there'll be some fixing of the dinner involved. We'll see.
It's game time decision, Craig. Game time decision tonight on the game companion. Might depend on the game. We might call that one at halftime. If it's worth a game worth watching, much more likely to do it. If it's not a close game, if Alabama's hitting threes. What's the oof for, Mark? The first text in on the show, the first chat, oof, is odd to me. That's just me. Oh, best text of the day. That I saw a text on the text line from Clinton apologizing, saying he shouldn't have said that. You guys are terrible radio hosts, and your moms wear combat boots. And within the same minute, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Good show, guys. Good show.
Exactly.
Hilarious. And apparently, Panther Chris is sending us a picture of him. I'm assuming it's him. I don't know exactly. Somebody said they met the Super Bowl streaker at a restaurant. This is, I guess, after the Super Bowl. Said he put a $50,000 prop bet at plus 750 that there would be a streaker at the Super Bowl. His buddy went out first as a diversion, and then he went out next. Cost him $1,000 to get out of jail, but cleared $374 on the bet. $374,000.
Dang.
Cat update. This cat is wandering down the dock.
That's not a good
Aren't
sign.
cats supposed to be afraid of water?
Depends on the cat.
It's about to be out on the floating dock.
Ruh-roh.
It's going down the. Yep, it is heading on the floating dock.
All right, so Tim, in the next break, you have 0 res and probably need to be out no later than 48.
Gotcha. Good text in from Matt there. Couple of good ones. Stopping watching at halftime. So you're already saying if we are blown out. Yeah, I got that, Mark. But you're not going to be shocked if Carolina beats Alabama tonight, are you? I'm not.
No, I mean, this cat is about to be on a boat.
Jason knows that cat, apparently.
Toonses. Oh my gosh.
Did you say Tootses?
Toonses.
Ah, that's old school Saturday Night Live reference. Well done, Jen.
All right, heading back in. You guys are up.
So Bill's giving us live play-by-play on the video stream of a cat that's about to hop in Lake Murray. Is that correct?
Not us.
This is the same cat that was in your house the other day?
Same cat. Yeah, it's way out on the floating dock, and now it's like going on one of the little fingers in between two boats, and it's just disappeared. So it could be on a boat here momentarily. So this cat is just not very afraid of going in random people's houses or apparently I thought cats were supposed to be afraid of water. Is that a myth? Is that
Got me. Jason says he knows a cat that his neighbor's cat rides on the boat with them. So apparently that's good.
And I guess there's always like the cartoons of the cats trying to get fish out of the what was it, the little fish tanks, going after some of the tiny fish, the little goldfish. But yeah, well, we'll see what happens here.
Good text rolling in. Cool Care Heating and Air text line about this Tom Brady situation. Reportedly, according to a source, texting his apology to Tyrann Mathieu, saying he respects him, great competitor, and he let his emotions get the best of him in the Super Bowl. EJ, it's easy to grin when your ship comes in. I think Brady is fake. From EJ, Jim says, I got the Brady fatigue. After 20 years, it's like, I get it. Kurt mentions that Tom Brady was playing himself in the movie Ted. Does that really count as being in a movie? It counts for me. But there's a difference between that and trying to be an actor, I guess. Looks like another anonymous texter is on Tom Brady's side here. Says, Tom accepts a lower salary, bottom half of a quarterback. That's why he's the greatest of all time. He cares more about winning and being overpaid, like Patrick Mahomes, who will be lucky to win 2 Super Bowls now once his contract starts strangling his team. If this makes it even easier to understand. I don't know about that last part, but I understand what you're saying and have always been impressed with how Brady structures his contract. I feel like it was a lot like Michael Jordan did his back in the day. He didn't have anything to prove, and being the highest paid guy in the league and the whole deal, you do what you need to do to set your organization up for the most success when you're at that ridiculously high level that not a lot of people get to. And that will be something to watch in the coming years about Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and how they're able to work with his contract as well. Certainly we've seen, I think Matt Stafford's the best example, Bill, of a guy who got an astronomical contract and the organization was never able to work around that. Matt says, Jen will text after a round of golf saying, sorry, I blocked you in the porta potty with my golf cart.
No, I won't.
That's good, Matt. Papa Joe says, most people won't apologize at all. Let the goat alone. What do you want him to do? Send flowers? LOL. That's the point. If it's going to be a sincere apology, sincerely apologize. Chavo hit us up earlier, said maybe you didn't know him well enough to call him. Well, what are you talking about? So you can know someone well enough to text them an apology, but not to call them because it's what, uncomfortable for you?
When was the last time you just text somebody? Just send a text message, like not a business text message, not a we're all in a group text message. We check on each other, but come on, when's the last
Does it
time?
count as a responding to someone, or does it have to be just out of? No, I don't do that.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, what's up? How are you? No, I call someone if I want to talk to them. I'm just not a text
That is
guy
the old
like
school
that.
way of doing it, right? That's the. Am I going to be the? This is where I probably need Patrick here, although Patrick's an old 25. But is that like that? That's because I don't do that. It's easier for me to text you, hey man, checking in. You feeling okay? Everything going all right?
Yeah, I'm more that direction.
Yeah.
The
Especially,
texting, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, and especially because some of the people that I keep in touch with or something, still a lot of balls in the air and stuff. It's just a quick. I don't want to interrupt you necessarily and keep you on the phone for 20 minutes. I might set up a time to call, like, hey, how about we catch up, do a virtual lunch or something like that, and then set up a time to call. I don't know. I guess I just feel like just a call is maybe more intrusive, and that's probably not the right way to look at it. But I just feel like I should give them a heads up before I call.
Oh, that drives me nuts. Hey, can I call you? The text sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Why didn't you just call? We could have figured this out. You could have just hit the other button. You could have figured that out real quick. If I can't answer the phone, I'm not going to answer the phone. This is more of my anti-text rant than anything else.
See, I do think there's a part. I do think there's a part of you of this that is you being you, which is not in tune with the younger. Of course, Brady's your age. No, I think text messages it's the easier, less intrusive way to bother somebody.
There you go.
No doubt. That's just not how I would prefer to do it. And especially if you're doing an apology, man. You don't take the easiest route when you're doing an apology. And the easiest thing to do, if you look at it differently, to try to help your image in a situation where I remember, as I was watching the Super Bowl with the in-laws there, I think my mother-in-law, who asked me originally why I didn't like Tom Brady and the whole thing, I think she was a little taken aback at the exchange between Tom Brady and Tyrann Mathieu, and certainly not the only one. And Bill, you mentioned that you don't remember him getting after it quite like that with anybody else in his career, and certainly not on the stage and not quite like that. Or maybe Brady's just at the point where he doesn't care as much about his image. Or
I think the bottom line on this whole thing is apologize, don't apologize. That's totally up to you. It's whoever leaked it that is a big issue. Like, because then, like you said, the authenticity goes out the window, because it's like, did you apologize because you're hoping to get that PR gain, or was that a bonus? You know, it's.
Do you guys? Let me ask this: Brady doesn't strike me as somebody that is planning on doing. What do you think, Brady? Like, Brady's basically decided he's going to play football until he can't play football. He doesn't strike me as a guy who's going to go do movies, or he's definitely not going to do television.
He's going to have his own skincare line.
What? You know what? I know you're joking, but that actually goes against what I was about to say. Like, he doesn't strike me as a guy who's overly worried about his perception.
See, that I don't know about all that. Kevin hits us up, says maybe Brady's thinking about the kids that look up to him. Saw his poor sportsmanship during the game. I can see him wanting kids to hear that he apologized for showing up a competitor during the game and model how a leader should handle that situation. Maybe. But, I mean, do you want to tell the kids, yeah, you got to send a text apology? That's all. 803-404-6100. Back into basketball when we conclude the show. Coming back, if you would like to join us with a final thought or call at number 404-6100. It's the early game here on 107.5. Oh, get it cleaned up. If you need to get things cleaned up around your house, I recommend you get Zero Res carpet and air duct cleaning out there. They've done a great job at my house. Been out a couple of times. They cleaned my carpets, cleaned an area rug for me, also freshened up the tiles and in both my bathroom and kitchen. Impressed my wife in the process. Not necessarily an easy thing to do, but Zero Res did it. And right now, they're not just doing it at your home. If you're in charge of a business, their commercial cleaning division working day and night, businesses all over the Midlands, keeping them clean and sanitized and following all those CDC guidelines in the process. What's especially important to me at my house, no harsh chemicals involved in the patented powered water cleaning system that Zero Res uses. So I got little kids on the floor all the time. And almost 11-month-old now, I guess, is waddling around all over the place. So that's an extra piece of fun at my house, but an extra reason why no harsh chemicals involved in the carpet cleaning process is important to me. Also, no leftover soapy residue. That's why my carpets have stayed cleaner longer. Yours can as well. And they got a great deal for you right now. You can get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $109. Schedule that Zero Res cleaning today. Give them a call, 803-262-4020. That's 262-4020. ZeroResColumbia.com is where you can go and book online. It's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
Norfolk State opted out of spring football. I think I did know that. I think one of their players was transferring. I think it was us.
I just got the text. There's a text in the text line. Hey, can I call in?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, that's funny. First, I was like, is that not working either? Oh, and now Norfolk State has opted out of spring football, so SC State's schedule cut in half again. Nice work, Alan. We'll see what we can do for you.
Oh, don't worry. Get Corley Pool Solutions to take care of your pool, and I got AAA heating and air that'll come out and take care of your HVAC unit. It is really chilly in here.
What, you need to refinance your house now. Yep.
Good.
Get Crowder in there. Which defensive performance was the best by the Buccaneers? The one we just saw, or we need to beat the Raiders to win their first Super Bowl? Oh, I see. So this year's or the John Gruden year? Is that what he's saying? I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah, that would be – that team had Sapp. I think that team had Sapp and Derek Brooks.
Right. But because of the opponent this year, by far. Raiders weren't about to win their second Super Bowl back then. They have Berline was their quarterback. Is that right? What am I thinking about?
No, they had Rich Gannon.
Rich Gannon is who I was thinking about. Yep, you're exactly right. Was that the weird one where their center just wandered off to Mexico?
Was it? I know exactly what you're talking about. Was that the Raiders?
I don't think so. Maybe.
I thought that was a little bit more recent.
No, it was definitely the Raiders, but I don't know if that was the one. I think yeah, because it was in San Diego.
Yeah, I won't really need to start it until 54:40. Oh.
One more time, Jen.
Sorry, I'll remute myself. I'm on with Ed trying to reset some stuff. But you guys are about to head back in.
You got it, Demetrius. Best laugh of the morning. Someone texted in the Cool Care Heating and Air text line and said, "Can I call in now?" Just to mess with me. Took me a while to figure it out. Danny hits us up talking about this Tom Brady texting an apology to Tyrann Mathieu, and I'm just saying I don't like it. Bill's all for it, he says. Give Tom Brady a break. Danny says, I've been a fan of TB12 for years because of fantasy football. It's made this whole thing way more fun. I feel sorry for the haters, even following him on social media now. Turns out he's a nice, positive person who just happened to play for the evil empire of the NFL. Bill, that's another reason I think I'm not a Brady fan. A nice, positive person is not how I see the greatest competitor ever. You can't be a nice guy. Certainly Brady wasn't nice to Tyrann Mathieu there on the field. The way he's treated his assistant coaches and fellow players and the whole thing, it's not nice, man. And that's where it's the lack of authenticity, I think, is that just own that you are a cutthroat killer in between the lines. Own it. That's what has made him the best football player of all time. Own it. Don't text an apology that I really appreciate your competitiveness or whatever. That's where it falls short. You continue to not buy that, huh?
No, not buying it. It's perfect. It's normal in this day and age of sports. It's normal. And you know what? He's a champion, a 7-time champion if you didn't know it. Hard to believe. I mean, Kobe Bryant was not known as being nice either, but look at the relationship he had with Paul Gasol. And Kobe Bryant's out there like trying to help you. I mean, like, what do you? I don't understand.
But I think that's the main appreciation I take away from Kobe's legacy is that I think we all appreciated him for being okay with it and embracing that Nike commercial.
When Michael Jordan punched Steve Kerr but sent him a text message the night after or that night, why not just own it? You're pushing your players to be a better player. You're pushing your
teammates. That's different. You're in the same locker room, man. There's a difference between punching your teammate and talking some smack to a guy who deserved. Tyrann Mathieu deserved it on the field. Tom Brady didn't do anything wrong. He didn't even get the penalty. He drew a penalty. Brilliant. Own it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I'm sorry if you're tired of me being on the soapbox. I get that. Bill clearly is. No problems with that.
I've got other things.
Basketball.
I've got other things real quick. I've got to worry about. We're working on a monster-in-law watch party for Jen. We're just got to see what sweet treats she can bring.
Just taking shots.
No, it is. It's on Twitter. Grant hit me up. It was like, when are we having the monster-in-law watch party? Got you involved, Jen. Don't
It's
worry.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and Bill's house is on the loop, man.
I might go work out this afternoon and put it on my phone while I'm on the elliptical.
Gamecock basketball, no one knows what to expect tonight against Alabama. Bill, you mentioned the challenge on paper. Alabama's owned the matchup 6 in a row in the series, 8 of the last 10. They shoot the ball well from 3. On paper, it's a terrible matchup. So, from what I've learned through the years of Gamecock basketball, I fully expect them to play one of the best games of the year and have a good shot at beating the team that leads the SEC right now. That's what I'm expecting, Bill. You? Not quite so much?
I think it's going to be an uphill battle tonight. We'll see. Should be kind of entertaining.
Appreciate you putting up with us this morning. Thank you for all the comments on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Dan Patrick Show coming up next.
All right.
Oh, appreciate everybody weighing in on the live stream. We had some technical challenges today. Somebody was asking about Patrick. I don't know if it was here on the text line. We'll definitely try to get that remedied. I think Jen's doing that right now. So we'll try to get that going and try to get that show audio in on the text line as well, or on the live stream too. So we're trying to make it better,
Efforts.
See you
No,
guys.
Cat came off the dock. I've got to go get the kids from school, and I guess I need to work on this coffee situation.
Glad we can help, Waddy. Thanks for making the show better with all the comments. See you guys tomorrow.